This poor girl was staring at her classmate's lunchbox, and she got slapped for it. She didn't back down and slapped back, but she didn't know she was messing with the wrong person. The other girl was the daughter of a wealthy family, and her father was the one who killed the first girl's father. 11 years ago, the girl's mom accidentally spilled boiling water on her 2-year-old daughter, but instead of rushing her daughter to the hospital, they had to escape through the back door because masked robbers surrounded the front door. The robbers stormed into the house, but couldn't find the documents they sought. They refused to give up and chased after the family. To distract the robbers, the husband sent his wife and daughter with the housekeeper to escape to the other side and find his sworn brother. They didn't know that this separation would be forever. The man couldn't escape the robbers. One of the robbers pulled out a gun and threatened the man to hand over the documents. Meanwhile, the wife and the housekeeper were saved by the man's brother and taken to a secret hideout. After the woman left, the brother asked the housekeeper which way his brother went. With the situation so tense, the brother brought his men and easily took down the robbers. The man thought his brother had come to rescue him and ran towards him. But when the brother saw the important documents in the housekeeper's hand, he shot the man in the heart. Then he pointed the gun at the housekeeper, who was terrified and begged for his life, promising never to speak of this day and vowing to be his slave. The brother saw the housekeeper was still useful and spared him, only shooting him in the leg. The man's brother was the mastermind behind everything, and he died without ever knowing why his brother betrayed him. The wife cried uncontrollably at her husband's funeral, unaware that the man who killed him was his brother, who was faking sorrow beside her. He was trying to eliminate all traces and avoid any future consequences. The brother threatened the housekeeper to find a way to kill the woman's daughter, or he would kill his son. To protect his son, the housekeeper used a stormy night when the woman was burning incense for her husband to sneak into her room and suffocate the baby with a pillow. But then he remembered the kindness the family had shown him, and he couldn't bring himself to do it. So, he drove the baby away in the night to the house of his best friend in the countryside. He gave his friend a large sum of money and asked him to treat the baby like his own daughter and raise her well. The next day, the woman lost her husband and then received news that her daughter had died, which made her lose the will to live. She ran into the ocean to end her life, but her brother stopped her in time. The truth is, this evil brother had secretly loved her for a long time. He wanted to crush her hopes and then offered to make her the mother of his children. However, the woman refused. When she turned to leave, she heard the baby's cry and was touched by it. So she decided to accept his offer. 11 years later, the baby, who the housekeeper's best friend raised, grew up to be a bright and optimistic girl named Heiress. Because her adoptive father's business went bankrupt, they had nowhere to go and had to rely on the housekeeper. When the housekeeper saw Heiress, he recognized her as the baby he entrusted to his friend. He feared that if his boss found out that the baby was still alive, his family would be finished. So he hurriedly kicked the friend's family out before his boss found out. Just then, the boss and his wife returned home and passed by Heiress' family's car. However, the woman got a strange feeling as she got out of the car, and she glanced at the car that had just left. They missed each other. A kind man in an abandoned house gave Heiress' family shelter. They finally found a place to stay in this unfamiliar city. Soon after, Heiress was enrolled in a nearby school. Her teacher made her sit next to a girl with a pink flower headband. She had no idea that this classmate was the daughter of the brother who killed her father. At lunchtime, Heiress ate plain rice every day, admiring the colorful lunchboxes filled with delicious food her classmates had. The girl sitting next to her was annoyed by this and slapped Heiress. Heiress didn't back down and slapped back. This scene shocked everyone around them. Inhua was the richest girl in school, and no one had ever dared to touch her. Soon after, Heiress was called to the principal's office because Inhua's family was so powerful. Even though it was clear that Inhua was at fault, the teacher only dared to punish Heiress. Inhua's mother quickly arrived at the school to resolve the conflict between her daughter and Heiress. The teacher, wanting to curry favor with the wealthy woman, gave Heiress a brutal beating right in front of her. The mother couldn't control herself and stopped the teacher's act of school violence. She criticized the teacher, saying that it's normal for children to argue, and as a teacher, how could she hit a student like that? Heiress had no idea that the rich woman in front of her was her real mother. After 11 years apart, this was the first time they had seen each other. As they say, maternal love is sacred. When the woman looked at Heiress, she inexplicably felt a sense of familiarity. Heiress also felt an indescribable feeling when looking at this parent. However, after this incident, Heiress didn't hold any ill feelings towards anyone. She was as cheerful and lively as ever. At dusk, Heiress sold the leftover bottle she had collected that day to buy 2 slabs of tofu. She then went home and cooked a sumptuous meal. It was the best meal her family had had since moving to the city. Heijo was a very understanding girl. Because her family was poor, she shared her portion of rice with her siblings. During dinner, Heijo's adoptive father asked why she wasn't eating rice. She lied and said a classmate had offered her bread on the way home. Her adoptive mother overheard and scolded Heijo for eating alone without bringing some back for her sister. She was furious and punished her by making her sleep on the floor that night. Inside the house, only her adoptive father loved Heijo, and he strongly opposed his wife's actions. Heijo didn't want her parents to fight over her, so she lied and said she liked sleeping on the floor because it was more comfortable. After washing all the dishes, everyone finished eating, and Heijo quickly went out and slept alone on the floor. Her adoptive father was afraid she would get cold, so he went out and slept with her. The next day, Heijo continued to collect bottles all over the place to help her family as usual. Inhua saw Heijo's actions and went up to her, saying that her house had a lot of glass bottles. Inhua wanted to show off her family's wealth. After going to her classmate's house, Heijo was surprised to see a pile of glass bottles. For her, those bottles could buy a lot of tofu. To continue showing off, Inhua brought Heijo inside her house. Inhua even bragged about her father's expensive vase, worth millions. Heijo wanted to see what was so special about this vase. Unexpectedly, Inhua deliberately let go of the vase before Heijo could grab it, causing it to fall to the ground and shatter. The woman heard the noise and rushed over. Seeing that her mother was about to scold her, she quickly denied it, saying that she didn't break the vase. The woman looked at Heijo with an angry expression. Heijo was scared and quickly sat down to pick up the broken pieces on the floor. The woman suddenly saw the scar on Heijo's back and felt a sense of familiarity. She asked Heijo if she had broken the vase. Heijo was flustered and tried to explain that it wasn't her fault. At that moment, Inhua acted cute to her mother, saying her leg hurt. The mother quickly picked up Inhua and sat her on the sofa, then carefully bandaged her wound. Heijo, who was treated coldly by her adoptive mother, felt heartbroken watching this scene. After taking care of her daughter's wound, the woman angrily questioned Heijo. "Who did this? Why did you hurt Inhua and didn't even apologize?" Heijo quickly apologized and explained that she really didn't break the vase. The woman thought Heijo was lying and said she would take her home to meet her parents. Heijo kept explaining, afraid that the woman would make her parents pay for the vase. Just then, the nanny suddenly noticed that Heijo's leg was also injured and bleeding profusely. The woman was horrified when she saw the deep wound. Inhua, frightened, started crying and confessed to her mother that she was the one who broke the vase. The woman felt guilty and realized her misunderstanding had hurt Heijo, so she kept Heijo for dinner to apologize to her. Seeing a table full of delicious food that she had never eaten before, Heijo didn't hesitate and tried all the dishes. Her brother sat beside her, showing clear disgust, and asked Inhua, "Where did this beggar come from?" Heijo heard this and stopped eating, remembering that tofu was a luxury for her family, while here, delicacies were just everyday meals. The huge gap in their lives made Heijo feel a pang of sadness. After the meal, she dragged the bottles back home. Her adoptive father had been anxiously waiting outside for a long time. He was relieved when he saw her, but then he noticed the wound on her leg. He assumed she got hurt while collecting bottles to help the family and felt guilty. He immediately told Heijo, "You don't have to collect bottles anymore. I found a job at the shipyard and can support the whole family now." On their way home, her adoptive father saw that Heijo was still limping, so he carried her home. Although she wasn't his biological daughter, Heijo was kind and took care of everyone in the family. He had already considered her as his daughter. However, Heijo always believed he was her real father. When he brought Heijo home years ago, he told his wife that she was his illegitimate daughter. Because of this, her adoptive mother had always treated her badly. That day, seeing Heijo go to Inhua's house, the housekeeper immediately went to find his friend that night, questioning him about why he was still there, and demanding that he take Heijo away as soon as possible. Heijo's adoptive father said that his wife was about to have their third child, and they truly had nowhere else to go. The housekeeper could only tell his friend to pay attention to Heijo, and not let her go to the mansion anymore. He lied and said the boss hated strange children coming to his house. Heijo's adoptive father didn't know the truth and agreed. However, based on what the chairman's daughter had told him, he thought they were kind and treated him well. This made him suspicious, and he wondered what the housekeeper was afraid of and why he lied to him like that. The next day, his adoptive father was approached by some thugs demanding money. He knelt and promised to pay them back soon. The leader heard this and, angered, kicked him hard, causing him to fall to the ground. Heijo rushed to check on her father, and seeing him in pain, She ran out and stood in front of the leader to protect her father. The leader saw this and slapped Hae-ju hard, causing her to fall to the side. Her father saw his daughter being beaten and, despite his pain, went to scold the leader. He received a violent punch in return. Then, the thugs went crazy and beat him up mercilessly. Seeing her father like this, Hae-ju ran to grab the man's leg and bit him hard. The man was furious when he was bitten and decided to take Hae-ju hostage. Her father saw this and ran after them, trying to snatch his daughter away, but he was punched again, causing him to fall to the ground. Hae-ju bit the man's hand again, then ran to her father. The man, bitten twice, was trembling with anger and threatened to kill Hae-ju. Hearing this, her father immediately stood in front of her to protect her. Hae-ju was not afraid of the leader's words at all. She went forward and told him, "Take me to repay the debt if you want, but you can't harm my father, or I will bite my tongue and kill myself right here." The leader was surprised that this little girl was so bold. He agreed to give her father a few more days to pay back the principal and interest. Then he took his men and left. Seeing them leave, her father collapsed to the ground and cried bitterly, blaming himself for dragging Hae-ju into this. Hae-ju, understanding, stayed by his side and comforted him. The next day, Hae-ju knew her father was still sad about what happened yesterday, so she cooked some eggs and brought them to work for him. Seeing her father's gloomy look, she knew he must be worried about repaying the debt. She comforted him. "I'll use the money from selling bottles to help you pay back the debt. Don't be sad, or I'll be heartbroken." Her father was incredibly touched by her words. He remembered that Hae-ju always dreamed of going out to sea to experience the beauty of the ocean. So he took her out to sea in his boat. He secretly vowed that no matter what happened, he would never let his daughter get hurt. Later, when Hae-ju was about to go home, she met her classmate, Kang-san. The entire shipyard belonged to his grandfather. When the two were talking, In-hwa, who had a crush on Kang-san, came to invite him to a party at her house. However, Kang-san only had eyes for Hae-ju. He said he wouldn't go if Hae-ju didn't go. So Hae-ju ended up going to In-hwa's house again. Hae-ju was happy to see the spread of food and knew she would have a full meal for once. Just then, the housekeeper returned with his son, Chang-hee. He was afraid to see Hae-ju there again, but couldn't directly kick her out. He just hoped the party would end soon. Thankfully, nothing unusual happened. After eating, Hae-ju even brought a bag of pastries home, wanting to give some to her sister to try. But surprisingly, her father, who should have been working at the shipyard, was at home. After asking her father, she was shocked to hear that her sister had gone missing. Before she could even process this, her adoptive mother came home. She saw Hae-ju and immediately flew into a rage, slapping Hae-ju. Then, with all her strength, she pulled Hae-ju's hair and blamed her for everything. Her adoptive father quickly stopped his wife. He said that his daughter's disappearance had nothing to do with Hae-ju, but his wife said that Hae-ju went to a friend's house for dinner and didn't watch over her sister, which led to this. As she continued to beat Hae-ju, her missing daughter appeared from behind. Her mother immediately changed her attitude, ran to her daughter, and hugged her. Hae-ju couldn't hold back her tears as she saw the love her mother had for her sister. All her life, she had hoped to receive some love from her mother, no matter how small. But no matter how hard she tried, she was only met with hatred. Hae-ju was heartbroken. She picked up the broken hair clip from the floor and ran away. But she didn't hate her mother for this. She ran to the top of the mountain to cheer herself up. After wiping away her tears, she noticed a man standing not far away. It was Chang-hee, the housekeeper's son. He came there to vent his frustrations too. Chang-hee was a top student, loved by his parents. But ironically, his fate had made him unable to accept his current living situation. He and his father lived in the chairman's house. The chairman often physically abused his father for the slightest mistake. Witnessing his father being beaten, he was powerless to help. On top of that, he was often humiliated by the chairman's son because of his excellent academic achievements. Years of this made Chang-hee filled with resentment. He looked at the chairman's shipyard in the distance and swore to Hae-ju that one day, that shipyard would be his. Meanwhile, the housekeeper angrily questioned Hae-ju's adoptive father. "Why haven't you taken Hae-ju away yet?" The father didn't understand why the housekeeper was so afraid of his daughter going to the chairman's house. Of course, the housekeeper couldn't tell him the truth. He could only say that if Hae-ju didn't leave, they would all be in danger. Threatened by the housekeeper several times, the father realized that this wasn't simple. He remembered that when the housekeeper brought Hae-ju to him, he gave him a lot of money and told him to make sure he took the girl away permanently. At this moment, the father suddenly realized something. He rushed to the shipyard to check with the employees there to see if the chairman had any lost children. The employee told him, 11 years ago, The chairman's wife entrusted her 2-year-old daughter to the housekeeper, but the child unfortunately died in a beach accident, and the body was never found. This news shocked the father. He realized that the daughter he had raised for 11 years was likely the chairman's lost daughter. Why did Heiress, who should have been living a life of luxury, have to live a life of hardship with him? The father went to ask the housekeeper for answers, full of doubts. At that moment, the luxurious carrying the woman arrived home. The father quickly hid to the side. He saw the mother and daughter laughing and talking happily, which made him feel very uncomfortable. After finding the housekeeper, he took him to the back of the mountain and beat him angrily, asking why he was so cruel and letting his daughter suffer until this day. The housekeeper didn't expect his friend to know the truth about Heiress' identity. However, he said he would die before revealing the truth. The father had no choice but to leave, fuming. On his way, he met Heiress returning from fishing. Seeing his daughter covered in dirt, he was furious. His daughter should have been a young lady, not worrying about food and clothing. But at her age, she was struggling to support the family. She always ate leftovers from her brother and sister. Even though her mother always favored them, she never felt resentful. In the middle of the night, the father couldn't sleep and went out to sit in the yard. He couldn't understand what the danger was that prevented Heiress from returning to her real parents. The next day, the 4 children went to play at the beach and were attracted to the yacht in front of them. When they ran into the cockpit, they found the keys were still there. Inhua, curious, turned the key and started the engine, causing the yacht to rush into the sea. Thankfully, Heiress had experience driving boats, learned from her father, and used the steering wheel to stabilize the direction of the yacht. The other children were excited to go for a ride around the sea, unaware that they would pay a heavy price for their prank. Meanwhile, on the shore, the maintenance worker came back and was confused. The yacht they were fixing was in a dry dock. How could it be fixed so quickly? Heiress and her friends were having fun on the sea when they encountered a problem. After the yacht sailed out into the open sea, it stalled due to lack of fuel. Just when they were getting anxious, a bigger danger arrived. Seawater was flooding into the hull, through the holes in the yacht. If they didn't do anything, the yacht would soon sink. Heiress tried using the radio to call for help, but there was no signal. The children were desperate and had to turn off the water inside the yacht and go outside while waiting for rescue. But it didn't work. The seawater kept coming in. They didn't give up hope of survival. They all put on life jackets and jumped into the sea, waiting for rescue. On this vast ocean, if they weren't saved, they would be doomed. As night fell, the chairman's family and Heiress' adoptive father realized the children were missing and immediately dispatched a rescue team to search the sea. In the pitch-black night sky, although Heiress and her friends saw the rescue ship and shouted for help, the distance was too far, and their voices couldn't reach the ship. Then, it suddenly started to pour, making the hope of finding the children even slimmer. The next day, the search and rescue continued, but they still couldn't find the children. They only found debris from the yacht, which made the parents despair. They thought their children might have become fish food. Just then, a rescue worker came to deliver good news. We found 2 children. Everyone rushed to the meeting point to pick up their children, but some were happy and some were sad. The 2 rescued children were Heiress and Chang He. Heiress and Chang He were unconscious and needed emergency medical attention. However, the chairman's wife and Kang San's grandfather, ignoring the lives of the 2 children, refused to let them go. They demanded that Heiress be woken up immediately to ask her the location of Inhua and Kang San. This made the adoptive father furious. He yelled, "Is my daughter not important?" Then he walked toward the cockpit to take his daughter back to shore for emergency treatment. Seeing this, the chairman pulled out his gun and threatened to kill the adoptive father if he dared to move. The father was about to reveal Heiress' identity, but the housekeeper stopped him. He remembered the housekeeper's warning. If Heiress' identity is revealed, she will be in danger. So he stayed silent. Fortunately, Heiress woke up at that moment and told everyone about Inhua and Kang San's location, saving all 4 children. However, the one who was most seriously injured was Inhua. She was still unconscious. Heiress, who was feeling better, went to visit Inhua and saw the chairman's wife crying outside the ward. The woman knew that Heiress was the one who had driven the yacht and blamed her for everything, slapping her hard. The adoptive father, hiding to the side, was heartbroken seeing his daughter being scolded by the woman. It was because the woman didn't know Heiress was her daughter that she punished her like that. When they went back home, the adoptive parents argued about Heiress' ordeal that day. His wife cursed Heiress. "Why didn't you just die in that accident, so my daughter could eat more?" The adoptive father didn't bother arguing with his wife. He angrily left. Unexpectedly, he saw Heiress standing outside the door, her eyes filled with tears. She had overheard her mother's words and confirmed her suspicions. She was not her adoptive parents' biological daughter. That was why her mother didn't love her. The adoptive father didn't want his daughter to be hurt. He was about to explain when Haiju said, "Actually, I've suspected this for a long time. That's why I try to work hard every day in front of my mother." The father finally realized that for all these years, Haiju had been carrying a heavy burden. She longed for love and warmth from her mother. Haiju, with all her courage, asked her father, "Who is my real mother?" At that moment, Inhua woke up in the hospital. Seeing everyone blame Haiju, Inhua felt guilty. She told her parents, "This is my fault. I wanted to show off, and that led to this accident. If Haiju hadn't saved us, we would all be dead now." To apologize to Haiju, the woman invited her whole family to dinner at her house. The adoptive father was dumbfounded. He looked at the chairman and his daughter happily together. Then he looked at Haiju beside him, and then at the chairman's wife. He imagined Haiju returning to her real parents. The adoptive mother was annoyed seeing Haiju just burying her head in her food. She immediately scolded her for not watching her sister. The adoptive father didn't want Haiju to be treated like that in front of her real mother, so he quickly told his son to pick up his sister. His wife wasn't happy. She insisted that Haiju pick up her sister while her son continued to eat. Inhua, sitting next to her, felt uncomfortable and questioned the woman. "Are you Haiju's stepmother? How can you treat her like that?" The woman was about to admit that she wasn't Haiju's real mother, but the housekeeper stopped her, fearing that the truth would be revealed. However, the housekeeper's actions angered the woman. She yelled, "Who are you to interfere with how I raise my children?" She was about to continue berating Haiju when her husband stopped her. This was supposed to be a happy party, but the adoptive mother ruined it. However, the chairman's wife felt guilty for misunderstanding Haiju so many times. Before they left, she gave Haiju an expensive dress. Haiju, who had never worn new clothes, happily admired herself in the mirror. The adoptive father felt guilty watching this scene. When they got home, the adoptive mother felt jealous seeing Haiju in that expensive new dress. She forced Haiju to take it off. The father yelled at his wife, "Why are you doing this?" Then he collapsed to the ground and cried, blaming himself for making his daughter suffer. Haiju saw her father crying and quickly comforted him. "I'm okay." Her mother stood there, still looking upset. Late at night, the heartbroken father looked at Haiju sleeping soundly on the cold floor. He knew that if Haiju stayed with him, she would be miserable for the rest of her life. He absolutely didn't want to see this kind and understanding girl have her future ruined. So he decided to give Haiju back the life that belonged to her. He took out Haiju's old clothes. The next morning, the adoptive father went to the chairman's office to reveal Haiju's true identity. He had no idea that the chairman was the culprit who had ordered Haiju's murder. When the father showed the chairman Haiju's old clothes for identification, the chairman tried to suppress his shock and said nonchalantly, "I've never seen these clothes before." The father thought that maybe the chairman had forgotten because it was so long ago. So he told the chairman to think carefully. But the chairman still firmly denied it and loudly told him to stop making a scene. If his wife remembered the painful past, he would not let it go. Seeing this, the father had no choice but to leave. However, after the father left, the chairman's hand began to tremble uncontrollably. He recognized those clothes as the ones worn by the baby he had ordered to be killed. He was afraid his wife would find out about it. To clarify what happened, he dragged the housekeeper to the beach and interrogated him. The housekeeper didn't expect his friend to go see the chairman, but no matter how the chairman tortured him, the housekeeper insisted to the chairman that the chairman's wife's daughter was dead. He knew that if he admitted the truth, the chairman would kill both him and his son. To protect his family, the housekeeper made a cruel decision. He told the chairman, "That year, I couldn't bear to kill the chairman's wife's daughter, so I gave it to my friend to handle. That's why he has the baby's clothes. He's doing this now because he wants to blackmail you." The chairman still didn't believe him. He demanded that the housekeeper bring Haiju's adoptive father to him to clear things up. The housekeeper was terrified. If he took his friend to the chairman, his lies would be exposed. His fate and his son's would be death. At that time, Haiju's adoptive father had also learned some important news. He went to the teacher who always helped them and asked about the chairman's lost child. Even though the teacher didn't understand why he was curious about this, he told him that the lost child wasn't the chairman's child. She was the daughter of the chairman's wife and her previous husband. The reason the teacher knew so much about this from back then was because he was the brother of the man the chairman had killed, making him Haiju's uncle. They just didn't know about this relationship yet. After leaving, Haiju's adoptive father thought over what the teacher said and understood the situation. A while later, the housekeeper met his friend at the beach and gave him a large sum of money, telling him to take Hei-jo away quickly. Although Hei-jo's adoptive father really needed the money to survive and pay off his debts, he didn't want Hei-jo to stay with him and live a poor life. So, he returned the money. He said he would never do anything against his conscience and separate the mother and daughter. The adoptive father thought that the housekeeper was forcing him to leave because of the chairman's orders. He was afraid that Hei-jo's appearance would break up his marriage. The adoptive father decided to go find the chairman's wife to find out the truth. The housekeeper absolutely couldn't let this happen. He picked up a rock, glared at his friend who was leaving, and was about to throw it. But he realized it wasn't safe there, so he put the rock down and called his friend back, lying. "Tonight, I'll take the chairman's wife to the pier for you two to meet." The adoptive father agreed immediately, thinking that maybe Hei-jo would return to her real mother tonight. The father was heartbroken and couldn't bear to leave his daughter, so he took Hei-jo out to sea for one last time in his boat. He told her, "No matter where you are, you must remember that you still have your family." Hei-jo sensed her father's unusual mood, as if they were about to be separated forever. Late that night, the father went to the pier as promised. The housekeeper had been waiting for a long time. Seeing Hei-jo's adoptive father, he immediately started the car and sped towards him. At that moment, Hei-jo arrived to find her father. In this critical situation, the housekeeper abandoned his plan to kill him and quickly changed direction. Unexpectedly, Hei-jo suddenly appeared, forcing the housekeeper to change direction again. This caused the car to crash into his friend. Hei-jo's adoptive father was immediately taken to the hospital. Before his last breath, he tried to tell Hei-jo the truth. But at that moment, the chairman's wife received news of the accident and went to the hospital to visit. He struggled to raise his hand towards the woman, but he was too badly injured to speak. Then, he left this world forever. Hei-jo cried uncontrollably as she watched the father who loved her most leave her. The saddest part was that she didn't know what he was trying to say when he pointed toward the chairman's wife before he died. They had missed another chance to reunite. At Hei-jo's adoptive father's funeral, the housekeeper felt guilty. His hands trembled as he lit incense to see his friend off. He never imagined things would turn out like this. His wife was heartbroken and regretted not treating her husband better while he was alive. What she found even harder to accept was that the family now had no income. She was also expecting a child and had her husband's debts to pay. She didn't know how the family would survive. Hei-jo scattered her father's ashes into the sea. His passing was a huge loss for her. From a young age, no matter what, her father was always there to love and support her. She cried uncontrollably when she faced this reality. Meanwhile, the housekeeper, relieved, went to see the chairman. Hei-jo's adoptive father was dead, so no one would know the truth that Hei-jo was the chairman's wife's daughter. But to be safe, the chairman still asked the housekeeper to find the baby's old clothes and destroy them. He didn't want the chairman's wife to find out about this. The housekeeper snuck into Hei-jo's family's house while they were holding the funeral. However, he searched everywhere but couldn't find the clothes. He didn't know that Hei-jo had accidentally seen the clothes and had kept them for herself. That night, the police came to Hei-jo to investigate her father's accident. Hei-jo sadly told them the truth. She said that her father had an accident because of her. When her adoptive mother heard this, she immediately flew into a rage and kicked Hei-jo out of the house. She told her children, "Hei-jo is the one who killed your father." No matter how Hei-jo pleaded, her adoptive mother still insisted on kicking her out. In the dark of night, Hei-jo had nowhere to go. She took her luggage and went to the beach to hold a funeral for her father. Standing in the pouring rain, she asked him, "What should I do now?" She stood on the beach like that for a whole night. The next day, Chang-hee and Kang-san quickly brought Hei-jo, who was running a high fever, back home. The adoptive mother didn't care about Hei-jo. She said they had no relationship anymore and told Chang-hee to take her away immediately. Kang-san threatened to call the police to report her for child abuse. Hei-jo heard this and quickly crawled off Chang-hee's back, her body weak. She apologized to her mother, hoping she wouldn't kick her out. Then, she collapsed and fainted. That night, Hei-jo woke up and was eating when her adoptive mother, who was in her room, suddenly woke her eldest son. He went to call the neighbor, following his mother's instructions, to help her deliver the baby. However, when he arrived, he saw the dog chained up outside the gate and was too scared to go in. The adoptive mother waited for a long time, but the midwife didn't come. She was about to give up when Hei-jo checked on her and found that the baby's head was already out. In this emergency, Hei-jo had to deliver the baby. She held her adoptive mother's hand and told her to take deep breaths. Finally, she heard the baby's cry. Her adoptive mother had successfully delivered a healthy baby girl. Hei-jo happily held her baby sister and promised her deceased father that she would raise her sister and take care of everyone in the family. It's true what they say, bad luck comes in threes. Heaven wasn't being kind to Heiju's family. The ambitious chairman, who had always wanted to get King San's grandfather's shipyard, had been scheming behind their backs. He wanted to seize the shipyard and the nearby village where Heiju's family lived to expand his business. Today, the chairman asked the housekeeper to take a group of people to demolish the village. Even though the villagers resisted, how could they fight against the evil chairman? The adoptive mother was heartbroken. Her husband was gone. She had just given birth, and now she was about to lose her home. Heijo, understanding, had to take responsibility for everything at home. She sold the dress that the chairman's wife had given her to buy food for her mother, to replenish her strength, and to buy milk for her sister. She just drank water to survive. Fortunately, Jung-woo cared about her. He knew she hadn't eaten anything in a long time, so he cooked noodles for her. Heijo suddenly found a letter on the table, addressed to a person named Ru-chan. When she asked about it, she learned that Ru-chan was Jung-woo's niece. Jung-woo didn't know that Heiju was Ru-chan. He said, "This letter was sent by my brother to his daughter, Ru-chan." Heijo was moved by the loving and caring words in the letter from her father to his daughter. Seeing Heijo crying, Jung-woo knew she missed her father, so he hugged her to comfort her. At that moment, the chairman's wife's sister came with good news. The chairman had agreed to compensate the villagers. It turned out that Jung-woo had gone to see his sister-in-law, saying that his brother had built the village himself. He asked her not to do anything wrong to her ex-husband. That night, the woman stopped her husband's actions, which angered the chairman. He could only order his subordinates to compensate the villagers double. Heijo, hearing the good news, broke into a bright smile. However, they fell into despair again the next day. They had only moved there a month ago, and the company only compensated families who had lived there for 20 years. Their family had no choice but to pack their belongings and leave, wandering around. At that moment, it started pouring heavily, making the baby cry. For the time being, they had to live under a bridge. Heijo used the last bit of rice they had to cook porridge for everyone. They were running out of firewood, so she asked her brother to go out and find some. But he immediately refused, saying that the rain would get his clothes wet. So, Heijo had to go out herself. Unexpectedly, as she turned to leave, her brother accidentally knocked over the pot of porridge. The tragic scene made her adoptive mother and siblings cry. These poor people had no idea how they would survive in the coming days. Only Heijo tried to hold back her tears and comfort her mother. "We have to be strong." At that moment, the chairman's wife's sister found them. She told them to quickly pack their things and follow her. Then she took Heijo's family to see the chairman's wife, so that she would take responsibility. The chairman's wife felt sympathy for the unfortunate family in front of her, but she was also embarrassed to have to provide shelter for so many people. Chang-hee, who had a crush on Heiju, stood beside her and said, "They can stay at my house." The adoptive mother didn't wait for the chairman's wife and the housekeeper to agree. Hearing that her children would have a place to stay, she decided to stay there. The next day, Inhua gave Heiju a dress. The chairman laughed, seeing the two adorable children playing together. Inhua thought Heiju would look prettier with her hair tied up, so she came over and tied her friend's hair, revealing the scar on Heiju's back. The chairman saw the burn scar, and it reminded him of his deceased daughter, who had a similar scar. To confirm his suspicions, he immediately went to Heiju's adoptive mother and asked her if she had adopted Heiju 11 years ago. The housekeeper was also there. He was scared when he heard the chairman asking about Heiju's identity. Although the adoptive mother hesitated for a moment, she still confirmed that Heiju was her biological daughter, whom she had carried and given birth to. At this moment, the chairman realized he had been mistaken. Then he called the housekeeper aside and spoke to him privately. He scolded the housekeeper, asking why he let the family of the person who killed his daughter stay in his house. To prevent his wife from finding out the truth, he tells the housekeeper to find a way to get Heiju's family out of the house immediately. The housekeeper went home and called his friend, giving him Heiju's family's address. He planned to use them to stage a good show. Soon after, the debt collectors arrived. When Heiju's family didn't know what to do, the housekeeper appeared and agreed to help them pay off their debts on one condition. They had to go back to their hometown to live. The adoptive mother immediately agreed. The next morning, the housekeeper saw Heiju's family off on a bus, back to their hometown. He thought that he would have nothing to worry about anymore, but he didn't realize that his nightmare was just beginning. The chairman's wife came back home, and, by chance, saw the nanny throwing away some of the items Heiju's family had left behind. Unexpectedly, the yellow clothes in the cardboard box caught her eye. She hurriedly called the nanny over and took out the children's clothes to examine them. She couldn't believe that her daughter's clothes, which had been gone for more than 10 years, appeared here. The chairman's wife, agitated, immediately asked the housekeeper, "Why does Heijo's family have my daughter's clothes?" The chairman was afraid that the truth would be revealed, and said casually, "Maybe it's just the same brand." However, the chairman's wife insisted, "I knitted those clothes myself. There's no way they can be mistaken." She thought her daughter might still be alive. At that moment, she suddenly remembered the scar on Heijo's back and guessed that Heiju might be her daughter. Hearing this, the housekeeper quickly denied the chairman's wife's guess. The chairman also said, "You're just overthinking things." To calm her down, he told the housekeeper to take his wife to Heijo's hometown to find her. The housekeeper was terrified and quickly went home to call the debt collectors to stop Heiju's family from going back to their hometown. When the chairman's wife arrived at Heiju's home in the countryside, she naturally couldn't find them. Heiju's family had been locked up in an abandoned house by the debt collectors. No matter how much Heiju screamed for help, no one would find them in this desolate mountain. Fortunately, the foundation of the dilapidated house wasn't very sturdy. Soon, Heiju dug a hole and successfully brought her family out. However, soon after, the debt collectors came back and found no one. They immediately went to look for them. Heiju knew that they couldn't escape this way, so she decided to distract them, so that her mother and siblings could escape in a different direction. The adoptive mother tightly held Heiju's hand. At this point, she had accepted Heiju and considered her as her daughter. Heiju told her mother to relax. She promised that once she was done, she would come back to be with them. Then, she ran towards the debt collectors. The adoptive mother burst into tears, watching Heiju disappear. She was extremely regretful for treating her badly in the past. Meanwhile, the chairman's wife was at the bus terminal, looking for news about Heiju, but she couldn't find anything. The adoptive mother was waiting anxiously at the bus terminal with her children, hoping Heiju would return safely. However, Heiju still couldn't escape the pursuit of the thugs. They caught Heiju and planned to take her overseas. In this critical moment, she bit the leader's hand and ran away, but she was just a child. She was eventually cornered by the thugs at the cliff by the sea. Heiju was desperate, but she refused to give up. Looking at the endless dark sea, she said, "Dad, please save me." Then she jumped into the sea. Heiju sank into the ocean, falling into a temporary coma. Images of her time with her father suddenly flashed in her mind, causing her to snap out of it and quickly surface, swimming back to shore. 15 years later, Heiju grew up to be a skilled welder and lived a happy life with her family. In a bar, a white-haired girl was dancing and swaying seductively, trying to charm wealthy guys, with the dream of marrying into a rich family and escaping her impoverished life. Heiju, dressed in simple rustic clothing, stumbled into the bar. The white-haired girl was actually Heiju's younger sister. Seeing her sister dancing passionately with a man, Heiju immediately ran over and grabbed the man's tie. She didn't realize that the man was Kang-san, the boy who had a crush on her when they were kids. 15 years later, they met again, but neither recognized the other. Heiju grabbed her sister and dragged her outside. She didn't realize her sister was wearing a wig, and Heiju's awkwardness caused everyone there to erupt in laughter. When Heiju tried to grab her sister's hair again, she was stopped by Kang-san. Heiju immediately threw him to the ground, and then dumped the bucket of ice on his head. Finally, she warned the bar owner, "If you let my sister come here again, I'll burn this place down." Heiju dragged her sister outside. Her sister told her to be careful, because she was afraid of ripping her rented clothes and losing a month's salary. Then, she took the opportunity to run away. The two sisters chased each other and bumped into a beautiful girl. She was about to scold them, but then she witnessed Heiju teaching her sister a lesson and gave up. This girl was Inhua, Heiju's old friend. Inhua came to the bar to find Kang-san. She had always liked him for all these years. However, he didn't have any feelings for Inhua. After going home, Kang-san took out the hair clip. He remembered that 15 years ago, after his grandfather's shipyard was bought by the chairman, his grandfather sent him to study abroad. When he said goodbye to Heiju, he took her hair clip as a souvenir. Now, he has returned to reclaim his grandfather's company from the chairman. For 15 years, he has thought about Heiju every night. The events of that day with her sister caused Heiju's pent-up pain to erupt. To support her family, Heiju had to work on the sea before graduating from high school. She didn't demand that her brother and sister be better than anyone else, but she couldn't bear to struggle like this. Her brother had graduated from college, but he still stayed home and lived off of them. He didn't earn a dime, but went out to party and squander money all day long. Heiju had only said a few words before her brother, taking advantage of being the eldest, scolded her for not knowing her place. Seeing her children arguing, their mother quickly intervened. Even though she was tired, Heiju still went out to sell food with her mother. She expressed to her mother that she really wanted to go to college so that she could work at a better company after graduating and help out the family financially. She complained to her mother, "Why are you so biased? You only let your biological child go to college?" The mother just sighed. She didn't expect that the son she had placed so much hope in would turn out to be a good-for-nothing. Fortunately, Heijo's efforts finally paid off. Today, she got an interview at the shipyard she had always dreamed of working at. The owner of this shipyard was none other than the cruel chairman. Heijo got ready, putting on makeup. She wasn't just going for an interview, she was going on a date with her boyfriend. It turned out that Heijo had been keeping in touch with Chang-hee all these years. They had grown up together and become lovers. Over the years, Chang-hee, through hard work, had become an admired prosecutor. Heijo didn't want to be a burden on her boyfriend. She decided to wait until she was successful before making their relationship public. Today, the interviewer was the chairman's son. Looking at Heijo's resume, seeing that she hadn't even graduated from high school, he yelled at his employee, "Why did you let an illiterate person apply to work at this company?" The employee told him that Heijo had passed all the tests and was the top performer, but he only cared about her education and refused to hire her. At that moment, Kang-san walked in. He had been working at the company undercover as a supervisor. Even the chairman had to yield to him. Now, the chairman's son was in charge of an important project. He had failed to meet the design standards, which made Kang-san furious. He threw all the designs on the ground. This was Heijo's first interview, and she witnessed this powder keg situation. But to show herself, she quietly picked up the documents on the floor and handed them to Kang-san. Their eyes met, and they immediately remembered the scene from the bar the night before. Kang-san told Heijo, "My shoulder still hurts a lot." Then he described Heijo to everyone as a gangster. The chairman's son, who didn't like Heijo, immediately announced the result. "She's not hired." After Heijo left, Kang-san looked at her resume and discovered that the girl he had called a gangster was the girl he had been thinking about day and night. Heijo was heartbroken about her failed interview. Chang-hee didn't want to see his girlfriend upset, so he decided to introduce her to his father. However, after learning Heijo's identity, his father immediately got up and left. Heijo blamed Chang-hee for not asking her opinion and revealing their relationship. The housekeeper ran outside, almost in tears. He had waited so long for his son's success, and now Heijo suddenly appeared. He was worried that the secrets he had kept hidden for years might be revealed. If that happened, all his efforts would be in vain. What was even more important was that the chairman's wife had decided to marry in Hua to Chang-hee. He went back to the dining room and dragged his son away. Heijo, unaware of the truth, followed them and kept apologizing to the housekeeper. The housekeeper yelled at Heijo, "Get out of my sight. Leave immediately." Heijo couldn't believe that after 15 years of being reunited, the housekeeper hated her so much. This made her already broken heart even more shattered. She said goodbye briefly and quickly left. When they got home, her father gave Chang-hee two choices. 1. He could kill himself to be with Heijo. And 2. He could obediently marry in Hua and not choose his own life. This hurt Chang-hee deeply. Meanwhile, Heijo hid her sadness and went back to help her mother sell things. Her brother, on the other hand, brought two bad friends to eat for free. When he saw his sister return, he went to mock her. She didn't back down and argued with her brother. His friends, seeing this, were about to leave, but Heijo stopped them and demanded that they pay. After all, the meal cost her 2 months' salary. Even though her brother said he had invited them, Heijo still insisted on getting paid. The friend didn't want to get into trouble with Heijo, so he obediently took out the money and paid. Her brother, who was a freeloader, thought she had embarrassed him and angrily followed her home. Then, he reached out to grab her hair, intending to teach her a lesson. Heijo wasn't someone you could mess with. She lightly shoved him, and he fell to the ground. Their mother came back and saw her son being bullied by Heijo. She stepped in to protect her son and scolded Heijo. "You're always mentally torturing your brother. That's why he's like this." Heijo told her mother, "I just want my brother to be a responsible man. If he can't earn money, then fine. But don't use money from the house to party and leave the family without enough money to pay rent." No matter how much Heijo tried to explain, her adoptive mother still sided with her son. She thought her son would definitely succeed because she supported him. Her brother kicked over the dining table, expressing his dissatisfaction with Heijo. The loud noise caused her little sister to run out to stop everyone, shouting, "You all force me to study. But how can I study when you guys are always fighting so loudly?" Heijo, exhausted, returned to her room and looked at her father's picture. She felt so heartbroken. She asked her father, "Why is life so hard? When will this poverty end?" At that moment, her youngest sister came in and hugged her, comforting her. Don't cry. She promised that she would study hard so she could help her sister. Heijo suppressed her anger and wiped away her tears, then went out to help her mother with their stall. However, she couldn't hold back her tears. Her adoptive mother didn't know what to say to comfort her. The next morning, Heiju regained her composure and prepared for another busy day. A man came over and introduced himself as the secretary of the shipyard's manager. He asked Heiju to follow him to a luxurious yacht to meet the manager. It turned out that Kang-san had deliberately arranged this meeting after recognizing Heiju. At first, he didn't reveal his identity. He used the interview as an excuse to get closer to Heijo, trying to find out if she had a crush on anyone when they were younger. Even though Heijo found it strange, she still told Kang-san, "I have a crush on Kang-san." Hearing this, he was overjoyed, thinking that Heiju must be talking about him. Then he asked her if she had a boyfriend, and if she didn't, what did she think of him? Heijo realized that she had been tricked. She splashed wine in his face, and then immediately left, giving him no chance to explain. Kang-san ran after her, grabbing her hand and trying to hold her back. Heijo, disgusted, kicked him into the sea, but she hadn't taken a few steps when she received a call announcing her shipyard interview. At that moment, Heijo realized that the man she had kicked into the sea was her interviewer. Embarrassed, she turned back to apologize to Kang-san. As he was about to get on the shore, he saw her returning, pretending not to know how to swim and screaming for help. Heijo, frightened, reached out to pull him up. In a split second, he pulled her into the sea. Kang-san kept acting. After a struggle, Heijo managed to pull Kang-san back onto the shore. At that moment, Kang-san pretended to be unconscious, lying motionless on the ground, which scared Heijo even more. She immediately started giving him CPR, and then performed mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. He sneakily opened one eye and looked at Heiju. He wanted another kiss from her, so he remained motionless. Seeing no response, Heiju could only perform mouth-to-mouth resuscitation again. When he woke up, Kang-san mentioned Heijo's childhood nickname, which surprised her. They, who had been separated for 15 years, finally met again. This time, Kang-san revealed his identity to help Heijo get the job at the shipyard and encouraged her to be brave and pursue her dreams. However, Kang-san still really wanted to know who Heiju had a crush on when they were younger. Heijo hit Kang-san's head with a spoon and said, "Don't dream about it." Heijo passed her interview, but since the shipyard was quite far from home, Chang-hee took her to find a place to rent. Unexpectedly, the landlord was Young-woo, someone Heijo hadn't seen in 15 years. He had become a prosecutor. He was delighted to see Heiju again, and announced that he would waive all the rent so she could live comfortably. At that moment, the chairman's wife's sister opened the gate and walked in. She saw her boyfriend laughing and talking happily with another girl and got jealous. She sneered at Jung-woo. "Robbed the cradle, huh?" Jung-woo quickly explained, "This is Heijo. She was here before." The chairman's wife's sister felt embarrassed after realizing that she had misunderstood. Heijo officially started working at the company she had always dreamed of. Meanwhile, the chairman's wife's sister, still half asleep after her passionate night with Young-woo, casually told her sister, "Heijo started working at the company today." This shocked the chairman's wife, and the housekeeper standing beside her started to worry. The chairman's wife had been searching for Heiju for 15 years, and finally, she had some news. She quickly went to the company. As soon as she arrived, she asked an employee, "Where is Heijo?" The employee said, "Heijo is in the bathroom." The chairman's wife immediately ran into the bathroom. Heijo was bending over to wash her hands. As soon as she saw her, the chairman's wife noticed the scar on Heiju's back. That scar was still deeply etched in her memory. It was exactly like her biological daughter's scar. However, she couldn't immediately confirm that Heiju was her deceased daughter. To get to the bottom of it, she decided to go to Heiju's adoptive mother's house to investigate. The housekeeper was afraid that the chairman's wife would find out Heiju's real identity, so he made an excuse to visit an old friend and went along with her. At the same time, through Inhwa, the chairman learned that his wife had gone to the company to find Heiju. He was afraid that his wife would find out about the bad things he had done that year. He quickly called the housekeeper and told him, "This time, you have to take care of this once and for all. Make my wife give up on finding her daughter." The chairman didn't need to say more. The housekeeper knew what he had to do. He was even more afraid of the truth being revealed than the chairman was. The chairman's wife met Heiju's adoptive mother and quickly took out the yellow clothes, questioning the housekeeper beside her. She hinted to Heiju's adoptive mother that she had found these clothes earlier. The adoptive mother looked at the clothes in her hand and said, "It's been so long. I don't remember anymore." But when the chairman's wife showed the adoptive mother a picture of her daughter when she was a little girl, She recognized Hejo immediately. However, she decided to keep the truth to herself and lied to the chairman's wife. Hejo is my biological daughter. I found these clothes in the village. She then chased the chairman's wife and the housekeeper away. After they left, the adoptive mother was full of doubts. She had always thought Hejo was her husband's illegitimate daughter. Why was she now the chairman's wife's biological daughter? She didn't know what was going on, so she hadn't told the chairman's wife the truth. The chairman's wife, heartbroken, returned home. To make his wife believe that her daughter was truly dead, the chairman purposely showed her Hejo's file. Hejo's blood type, according to the results, showed that she wasn't his daughter. The chairman's wife accepted the fact that her daughter was dead. Heartbroken, she burned all of her daughter's belongings. She decided to give up on her responsibility and go back to taking good care of her husband's 2 children. Meanwhile, after learning that Hejo was a wealthy heiress, her adoptive mother felt guilty, just like her deceased husband. Her daughter should have been living a life of luxury, but she had to struggle and support this family without ever complaining. Seeing her crying, Hejo thought she missed her father and went to hug and comfort her. After the matter between Hejo and the chairman's wife was settled, the housekeeper went to see Hejo and warned her, "You must cut off all contact with my son." A romance that lasted for over a decade couldn't be just forgotten. Hejo disagreed with the housekeeper's demands. He slapped her hard in the face. Hejo felt that there was nothing wrong with her loving Chang-hee. The housekeeper didn't want to waste his breath on Hejo. He warned her again, "If you dare meet Chang-hee again, he won't let you off the hook." When he got home, the housekeeper took the initiative to tell his son about slapping Hejo. He forced Chang-hee to break up with Hejo and marry In-hwa. That was the best outcome for everyone. Chang-hee angrily told his father, "I will never break up with Hejo." Then, he went to see Hejo and apologized on behalf of his father. Hejo didn't want Chang-hee to be affected by this. She told Chang-hee, "I'll try my best to bring them closer together. I promise I will never leave you." However, the next day, the housekeeper learned that Hejo was still seeing his son. He went to see Hejo. Hejo closed her eyes tightly in fear, bracing herself to be hit. But in the next second, the housekeeper softened and knelt to beg Hejo, "Please leave my son. It's been so hard for Chang-hee to achieve his success." This actually worked. Hejo thought that if they were together, she would be a burden to Chang-hee. In the end, she decided to send Chang-hee a breakup text. Hejo cried till her eyes were swollen and returned to work. As she was waiting for the elevator, Kang-san came over. Seeing her cry, he quickly asked her, "Who bullied you?" At that moment, Chang-hee couldn't get in touch with his girlfriend, so he went to the company to find her. He treated Kang-san as if he wasn't even there, and forcefully dragged Hejo outside to talk. Seeing this, Kang-san stepped in to stop him. They were about to fight. Fortunately, Hejo intervened and introduced them to each other. Kang-san and Chang-hee hugged each other. It turned out that this was the first time they had seen each other after 15 years of being apart. Chang-hee had come to beg Hejo not to give up their relationship because of his father. Hejo was also heartbroken. She didn't want their relationship to end this way. Luckily, Chang-hee gave Hejo confidence. But even if he knew the answer, it wouldn't solve anything. He could only begrudgingly wish Hejo happiness. Kang-san went home, heartbroken, and got drunk. He regretted going abroad to study and leaving Hejo, allowing Chang-hee to steal her away. His grandfather, sitting beside him, didn't know why his grandson was so upset. He told Kang-san, "We will change our plan to get revenge on the chairman. First, we will let you and In-hwa marry. After the chairman dies, we can easily reclaim all the assets." Kang-san shook his head. He felt his grandfather was oversimplifying things. Meanwhile, In-hwa was being persuaded by her mother, "Marry Chang-hee." In-hwa told her mother, "Chang-hee is just a servant in my eyes. How can I marry someone so low class?" At the same time, the housekeeper went to see Hejo's adoptive mother and gave her hundreds of millions of won to prevent Hejo and his son from being together. The adoptive mother's eyes lit up when she saw the checks. She readily agreed to take the money, but she did as the housekeeper told her and didn't care about anyone else. She even told Hejo about it and encouraged her, "Be bold in your love. If you truly love someone, then go for it." Worried that her innocent daughter would be tricked, she even went to see Chang-hee in person. After learning that Chang-hee truly loved her daughter, she warned him, "Don't let your father hurt Hejo, or I won't let you off the hook." Unexpectedly, In-hwa invited Hejo to dinner at her house that day. The housekeeper and Chang-hee were also there. Seeing Hejo arrive, the housekeeper was both angry and scared. In-hwa knew that the housekeeper always planned for her to marry Chang-hee, so she deliberately praised Chang-hee and Hejo as a perfect match. Right at the dinner table, This gave Chang He a chance to publicly declare his relationship. Ignoring his father sitting beside him, he told the chairman and his wife, "I have loved Heiju for over a decade. We're also getting married." These words directly shattered the housekeeper's dream of becoming the boss. He angrily threw all the dishes in front of him to the floor, showing his disapproval of his son's actions. Then, without a word, he left immediately. Chang He apologized to the chairman on behalf of his father and asked for the chairman and his wife's help in persuading his father to agree to the marriage. On their way home, Heiju was suddenly stopped by the housekeeper. He stared at Heiju and gradually approached her before slapping her. He wanted to teach her a lesson for refusing to leave his son. Just then, a luxurious car drove up. The person in the car was Kang-san, who was on his way to see Heiju. Seeing the woman he loved being bullied, Kang-san didn't care who the man in front of him was. He rushed over and knocked him to the ground. Heiju saw Kang-san was about to strike again and stopped him, saying, "The man lying on the ground is Chang, he's father." At the same time, Chang He was interrogating the leader of the gang, who had tried to sell Heiju overseas 15 years ago. Seeing that the man wasn't cooperating, Chang He immediately gave him a brutal beating. The leader, after being tortured, reluctantly revealed the mastermind behind it all. G.I. Cool. Chang He couldn't believe his ears. G.I. Cool was his father. He didn't understand why his father had been so cruel to Heiju. Chang He, in a daze, walked out of the police station and ran into Kang-san. He came here looking for him because Heiju had been slapped by the housekeeper. Earlier, Kang-san had told Chang He, "Don't make Heiju cry." Now, she had not only cried, but she had been slapped too. Kang-san demanded that Chang He immediately break up with Heiju. Already disappointed in his father, he learned that his father had hit Heiju. He angrily returned home and asked his father, "Why?" However, the housekeeper still refused to admit his mistake. He forced Chang He to choose between breaking up with Heiju or sending him to jail. Chang He decided to leave home and cut off ties with his father. Then, he went to see Heiju. He hoped she would leave with him, and they could get married and start a new life. Heiju knew that her adoptive mother and siblings couldn't survive without her, so she refused Chang He's offer. Chang He didn't tell Heiju the truth that her father was the mastermind behind trying to sell her overseas that year. He was worried that his father would harm her again if she didn't go with him. Unexpectedly, Heiju's younger sister had been hiding nearby and heard their conversation. She learned that her sister had been bullied by Chang He's father. She immediately went home and told her mother. Her adoptive mother was furious. She decided to get justice for her daughter. The next day, she went to the housekeeper's house alone. When she saw him, she went up to him and beat him up for daring to hit her daughter, warning him, "If you continue to bully Heiju, I'll break your legs." To cheer Heiju up, she made her a lunchbox for the first time. She knew that all these years, her family wouldn't have survived without Heiju. She couldn't have supported her 3 children alone without her. She felt guilty for not being able to afford Heiju's college education, causing her to struggle and live a life of deprivation. That night, Heiju's younger sister went to the bar again, dancing and flirting with rich guys. She quickly caught the eye of a young man, who then had someone take her to a private room. The young man threw some checks on the table, offering to pay for her to spend the night with him. After they arrived at the hotel, the young man went straight to the bathroom to change. Heiju's sister, while he was taking a shower, stole all the checks from his wallet. She didn't know she was messing with the wrong person. Soon, she was arrested and taken to the police station. The next morning, Heiju heard the news and rushed to the police station. She couldn't believe that her sister had gone and stolen something. The police said, "The evidence is right here. How can you be mistaken?" At that moment, the rich young man also arrived to give a statement. Heiju recognized him immediately as Enhua's brother. He also recognized Heiju. After learning that the girl who had stolen the money was Heiju's sister, he refused to settle the matter. Heiju had no choice but to call her boyfriend, the prosecutor, for help. But Chang He was dealing with an important case. He said a few quick words and hung up. Unexpectedly, just when Heiju didn't know what to do, Kang-san called. Learning that his love needed help, he immediately put aside everything he was doing and went to her. Without hesitation, he agreed to help Heiju get her sister out. It wasn't until that night that Heiju's sister was released. Heiju was waiting outside and naturally wasn't going to let her get away with it. She ran over to grab her sister's hair and give her a piece of her mind. Her sister quickly used Kang-san as a shield to prevent her from catching her. Kang-san was powerless and had to help Heiju. She struggled to break free from Kang-san's grip. Seeing this, Kang-san held Heiju tightly, but his hand accidentally brushed against her chest. When they got home, the younger sister was scolded by her mother. She didn't know how to appreciate her mother's hard work in raising her and sending her to school. She had committed a crime. The mother, feeling heartbroken, sat down and sobbed. Meanwhile, Chang He was busy working and completely ignored Heiju. Finally, he found an opportunity to get revenge. Ever since he became a prosecutor, he had secretly been working with Jung Woo to gather evidence of the chairman's crimes. Today, they finally found evidence of his illegal transactions. Chang He believed that this time, he could send him to jail. He immediately changed his attitude, grabbed a warrant, and arrested him. The chairman was arrested, but he didn't panic. He showed Chang He a picture of the scene of Heiju's father's accident 15 years ago. Then, he stood up and told Chang He, "Your father is the one who caused that accident." It turned out that when the housekeeper ran over Heiju's father, the chairman's secretary had happened to see it. The chairman had also found blood and the housekeeper's fingerprints in the car as evidence. Hearing this, Chang He remembered that night when his father came home injured and in a panic. The witness, the evidence, everything was there. Now, he had to believe that his father was the one who had killed Heiju's father. He left the chairman's office in a daze. Now, he understood why his father had been so vehemently against his relationship with Heiju. Chang He went home and asked his father, "Why did you want to kill Heiju's father?" To hide the truth, the housekeeper lied. "When your father and I were in the military, he always bullied me. He even shot me." Then, he took off his pants to show his son the scar on his thigh. He even fabricated a story. 15 years ago, Heiju's father blackmailed me. He threatened to kill me and my son if I didn't give him money. That's why I had to do it to protect myself and you. Chang He couldn't accept this. He didn't know how to face Heiju. The next day, he destroyed all the evidence of the chairman's crimes to protect his father. Jung Woo, hearing this, was furious. All the hard work for all these years, down the drain. Chang He didn't explain why he did it. He submitted his resignation and apologized to Jung Woo. Chang He knew that because of his father, he could no longer get revenge on the chairman. He decided to concede defeat and take his father away from that cruel chairman. However, he was too naive. How could the chairman let it go that easily? He threatened Chang He. "You have no choice but to obey him and slowly pay the price for your betrayal." As Chang He left the chairman's office, he ran into Heiju. He quickly hid to the side to avoid her. Meanwhile, Heiju was called to her brother, in Hua's office. In front of her, he insulted Chang He. After Heiju left, he took the cup she had been drinking from and put it in his bag. It turned out that Nhwa hated his stepmother. He had overheard her telling Heiju about her back scar, which was exactly like his daughter's scar. At first, she thought Heiju was her daughter, but after learning Heiju's blood type, she knew she wasn't. So Nhwa took the cup that Heiju had drunk from and his stepmother's hair to do a DNA test. Soon the results came back. He was shocked to learn that Heiju was his stepmother's lost daughter. At the same time, Chang He had made a date with Heiju. Seeing her lover looking haggard and depressed made Heiju feel heartbroken. She didn't know what had happened. Chang He, without hesitation, directly broke up with her. Heiju, respecting his decision, encouraged him to be happy and face his bright future with optimism. Chang He blamed his father for ruining his happiness. He locked himself in his room for days, lying on the bed, depressed, and ignoring his father. The housekeeper realized that he had caused his son so much pain and felt extremely guilty. He told Chang He, "All I want now is for you to be happy. The only way is to take Heiju far away from here. If you stay here, you will end up like me, becoming a slave to the chairman for life." Then, Chang He decided to run away with Heiju. Heiju still didn't know where he wanted to take her. Meanwhile, the chairman learned that the prosecutor, Jung Woo, was still investigating him. He immediately went to see Chang He to ask for his help in stopping him. Unexpectedly, when he arrived, he discovered that Chang He had packed his bags and run away. The housekeeper begged the chairman to let his son go. The chairman told him, Chang He will have to stay here and serve him for the rest of his life. The housekeeper heard this and threatened the chairman. "I will tell his wife about him killing her husband and daughter." The chairman was furious. He declared, "If you dare do that, I will send Chang He to hell." This angered the housekeeper. He rushed forward to kill the mastermind and protect his son. However, the chairman's men outside heard the commotion and rushed in. The result was obvious. The housekeeper was brutally beaten by the chairman. The chairman then sent people to the airport to capture Chang He and bring him back. At that moment, Chang He was taking Heiju to the airport to go overseas. Heiju stubbornly refused. She couldn't leave her family. Chang He told Heiju, "If we don't go now, we might never be together." Just then, Chang He got a call from the chairman. His father was on the line and said he had sent Heiju a picture Heijo saw the picture, which was a license plate, and felt suspicious. Chang-hee was scared. He quickly grabbed the phone and threw it to the ground. Because the picture was the license plate of the car his father had driven when he hit Heiju's father. Heijo didn't understand her boyfriend's actions that day. She was angry and turned to leave. Chang-hee followed her outside and ran into the chairman's men. In the end, he couldn't escape and was taken back to the chairman. For the sake of his father's safety and to keep Heiju from knowing the truth, he endured the humiliation and knelt to apologize to the chairman, promising that he would follow all of his instructions from now on. His father saw him return and questioned him. "Why didn't you run away?" Chang-hee said, "If we can't escape the chairman's control, then we have to figure out a way to be smarter than him." That night, Chang-hee went to see Heiju. He was no longer gentle in breaking up with her. He said to her bluntly, "You're not worthy of being my wife. Just disappear from my life." Chang-hee knew that if he wanted to overthrow the chairman, he had to marry Inhwa. But for poor Heiju, this was a huge blow. The next day, at the hospital, the chairman's wife was talking to a doctor and accidentally learned that her blood type was unique. She could have children with blood type A. Knowing this, she rushed to see Heiju's adoptive mother to ask about Heiju. The adoptive mother knew that her family couldn't survive without Heiju, so she continued to insist that Heiju was her biological daughter. She wondered, "Why did my husband have a child with the chairman's wife?" She then asked the chairman's wife, "Who is the father of the baby?" The chairman's wife said, "The father of the baby is an oil research expert." The adoptive mother felt relieved after getting the answer. The chairman's wife didn't find out anything and left feeling sad, but she still believed that her daughter was alive. The adoptive mother looked at a picture of her deceased husband in the house. She wondered why he had loved Heiju so much. Then, the chairman's wife purposely invited Heijo to her house for tea. When Heijo got up to leave, she quickly took a strand of hair from her head, preparing to get a DNA test done to answer her questions. But her actions were seen by Inhwa, her son. He had learned that Heiju was his stepmother's daughter. He always thought his stepmother had married his father to seize all the family's assets. Then, he followed his stepmother to the testing center. The chairman's wife gave the hair and cup to the technician and left without realizing that Inhwa was following her. It seemed that this time, he would definitely change the test results. Heijo returned home and saw her mother sitting sadly in the yard. She didn't know what was bothering her mother and could only comfort her. "You are the only mother I have ever had." Unexpectedly, the eldest brother overheard their conversation. Now he knew that Heiju wasn't his mother's biological daughter. The next day, her adoptive mother accidentally saw a picture of Jungwoo's family in his room. In the picture, a man was holding a child. The child was none other than Heiju. After asking Jungwoo, she learned that the man was Heiju's father, and Jungwoo was his younger brother. The adoptive mother couldn't believe it. It turned out that Jungwoo, who had always helped Heijo, was actually related to her. After learning that Heiju wasn't his biological sister, the eldest brother didn't even acknowledge her anymore. He was bored with his job and too tired to go to work. Heijo, as usual, scolded her brother. "You're lazy, and you don't think about the family." This time, her brother didn't back down. He slapped Heiju across the face and pointed at her, saying, "You're not my sister, and you dare to hit me?" These words stabbed Heiju's heart like a knife. 15 years ago, she had known that she wasn't related to this family, but she still treated her brother and sisters like her closest family members. Fortunately, every time Heiju was feeling down, Kang-san was there for her. He let her lean on his shoulder and comforted her. "If you want to cry, then cry loud." At home, her adoptive mother cried her heart out, asking her deceased husband, "Was I too selfish? Did I make Heiju suffer because of me? Should I let her go back to her real mother now?" After thinking it over, she decided to tell Heiju the truth. Her real father was a brilliant research expert, and her real mother was the chairman's wife. Her adoptive mother hoped that Heiju would be reunited with her mother and live a life of luxury, not having to struggle to support this family anymore. This sudden change made Heiju unable to accept the truth. She went to the beach where her father was buried. She recalled all the love, care, and support her adoptive father had given her throughout her life. She couldn't believe that he wasn't her real father. Then, Heijo went to the chairman's wife's house, but she only stood outside the gate and watched her real mother from afar before turning and leaving. She couldn't forget what her adoptive father had told her. "No matter what happens, everyone in this house will always be your family." Finally, Heijo made her decision. She went home and told her adoptive mother, "I can't leave this family." She begged her not to abandon her. The eldest brother, because of hitting Heiju, was kicked out by his mother. Late at night, he snuck back to look for food. Heijo caught him. Knowing he was hungry, she prepared a meal for her brother. She didn't blame him for hitting her. On the contrary, she told him, "If you're tired, you don't have to work." The brother felt guilty. Haejo went to Jung-woo's room and looked at a picture of their family, but she didn't intend to tell him the truth, that she was his niece. She just wanted to know what her deceased real father was like. From Jung-woo's stories, she learned that her father wasn't only a great person, but he was also a father who loved his daughter very much. She also learned the truth that her father had been murdered. Before leaving, Haejo kindly told Jung-woo to take care of himself. Even though she couldn't be reunited with her family, she was happy because she had two fathers who loved her, as well as an uncle who always cared for her and helped her. The chairman's wife also received the results of the DNA test. However, the results showed that Haejo wasn't her biological daughter, so Inhwa's brother had falsified the results. The chairman's wife went to the beach in despair and apologized to her deceased husband. She decided to give up on finding her daughter. As she was about to leave, she saw Haejo arrive. The chairman's wife told Haejo, "This is where my daughter died." Haejo didn't tell her the truth. Instead, she comforted the chairman's wife. "Don't be so sad. Your daughter is definitely still alive somewhere. She misses her mother and doesn't want to see her mother sad because of her." Haejo watched her real mother leave and could only say, "I'm sorry, Mom." Chang-hee now sided with the chairman to prevent Jung-woo from continuing to investigate him. Chang-hee set a trap and framed Jung-woo, forcing him to stop. Haejo heard about this and went to see Chang-hee to seek justice for her uncle. Inhwa was standing in a corner, eavesdropping on their conversation. To gain Inhwa's trust, Chang-hee deliberately slapped Haejo hard in the face and warned her, "Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong." Haejo was hurt and started to cry. She couldn't believe that the man she had deeply loved was now so frightening. Chang-hee was now Haejo's supervisor at the shipyard. As soon as she started working, he fired her. Her adoptive mother learned that Chang-hee had abandoned her daughter and cruelly destroyed her dreams. She couldn't bear to see her daughter continue to suffer like this, so she went to see the chairman's wife and revealed the truth, that Haejo was her biological daughter. But even though she explained that Haejo was her husband's daughter, who he had brought home when she was a child, that she looked exactly like the girl in the picture the chairman's wife had shown her, the chairman's wife didn't believe her. She said, "I got a DNA test done, and Haejo couldn't be my daughter." The adoptive mother went home, confused. Haejo clearly looked exactly like the chairman's wife's daughter. Why didn't the test results match? The housekeeper was also confused by the test results. Although he didn't want the chairman's wife to know the truth, he knew that Haejo was her biological daughter. Even though Haejo couldn't work at the shipyard she had always dreamed of, Kang-san arranged for her to work at his grandfather's shipyard, allowing her to continue pursuing her dream. They were working together to solve a tough problem with the azimuth thruster. All the companies in the country, including the evil chairman's shipbuilding company, dreamed of having this technology. Inhwa's brother went to see Haejun's brother, offering him a large sum of money to steal Haejo and Kang-san's breakthrough technology and give it to him. Facing such a large amount of money, Haejo's brother immediately agreed. With Kang-san by her side, Haejo had been happier and more cheerful than ever before. After a long period of hard work studying and improving the azimuth thruster, they had achieved perfect success. In this test, Haejo happily hugged Kang-san to celebrate this achievement. A high school dropout had been able to achieve something that even experts couldn't do. How could she not be happy? That night, Haejo, Kang-san's brother, and his grandfather all celebrated together. Haejo didn't know that her brother had been bought off by Inhwa. A while later, her brother told Inhwa's brother, "Haejo has successfully tested the azimuth thruster." Inhwa's brother announced, "If you steal the model and the blueprints and give them to me, you will be rewarded 100 million. Unexpectedly, Chang-hee, who was standing behind them, heard this news. He decided to get this technology for himself. While Haejo and the others were happily celebrating, her brother snuck onto the yacht where Kang-san stored his documents. But as he entered the yacht, Kang-san's phone rang, giving him a warning. It turned out that there was a hidden surveillance device installed on the yacht. Haejo's brother quickly grabbed all the blueprints and models on the table. Haejo and Kang-san witnessed the entire scene. The two immediately rushed to the yacht. On the way there, Kang-san's cameras spotted a group of masked men breaking into the yacht and stealing another blueprint and model. This technical document was the result of Haejo's tireless work, day and night. She went to block the robbers. The two sides clashed. Although Haejo only had 2 people on her side, she had never been afraid of anyone since she was a child. Her strength was on par with the robbers. Chang-hee sat in the car and quietly observed from afar. It turned out that the robbers were his people. Seeing that his men couldn't defeat a woman, the secretary beside him, following the chairman's orders, quickly started the car and sped toward Kang San and Taiju. Although Chang He intervened in time, causing the car to change direction, Kang San, to save Heijo, was hit hard by the car and thrown to the ground. Seeing this, the robbers immediately ran to grab the documents and models on the ground and ran away. Heijo was worried. She hugged Kang San and tried to wake him up. She shouted for help. Help! This scene reminded Heijo of 15 years ago, when her adoptive father had been hit by a car and died saving her. She was afraid that the same tragedy would happen again. Heijo took out her phone, ready to call the police and an ambulance for Kang San. But he woke up. Seeing this, she was relieved. Meanwhile, her brother brought the documents he had stolen to Inhwa's brother to collect his reward. But when they compared them, they found that the documents he had brought were incomplete and useless. Not only did he not receive any money, but he was also scolded by Inhwa's brother and kicked out. Then Chang He also brought the documents he had taken to be verified. The results showed that this document was more complete than Inhwa's brother's. Chang He had outdone him. He was also scolded by his father, making Inhwa's brother furious. Kang San, enduring the pain, went home with Heijo to find her brother. Facing Heijo's questions, her brother denied it, saying that there was no evidence. It wasn't until Kang San showed him the video footage that her brother, terrified, knelt and apologized, begging them to forgive him. He then revealed that Inhwa had tricked him into stealing the documents. Heijo wanted her brother to report it to the police, but Kang San stopped her, saying, Inhwa will definitely not admit it. Plus, it will drag your brother into this. Heijo was stuck, not knowing what to do. Kang San told Heijo, don't worry. Even if the chairman's company gets the blueprints and the model, they won't succeed without you. At the same time, the chairman learned about this. Inhwa's brother was proud because the documents Chang He had brought were the same as his. Just a bunch of junk. The chairman ordered Chang He to find a way to bring Heijo back to the company. However, Chang He came up with a cruel plan to shut down Kang San's factories. The next day, Kang San's grandfather's company received a debt collection notice from the bank. Kang San's grandfather had planned to sell Heijo's technology to pay off the debt. Now, he learned that the blueprints had been stolen, which made him very worried. Kang San said, Heijo, and I will make a new one quickly. He asked his grandfather to prepare the materials for them. Unexpectedly, when his grandfather called back, he received bad news. They didn't have enough money to buy anything anymore. They had no idea that all of this was caused by the evil chairman. Heijo went to see the chairman alone to ask for his help on behalf of Kang San. The chairman made a demand. If you come back to work for me, I guarantee that your whole family will be living comfortably. In the past, Heijo had always thought of the chairman as a respectable person. But today, she saw his true face. She frankly rejected his condition and angrily left. But the chairman was determined to have Heijo, knowing that she was siding with Kang San. He ordered Chang He to deal with Kang San's company. The next day, Kang San's grandfather's shipyard, unable to pay its debts, was foreclosed on by the bank. Everything in the shipyard was sealed. Not only Heijo's dream, but also Kang San's was shattered. Seeing everything in front of him, Kang San felt heartbroken. Heijo understood his pain. She resolutely turned and left. Then, she went to see the chairman and accepted his previous offer to return to the company to build the azimuth thruster. On one condition, he would reduce the pressure on Kang San's shipyard and restore it to its original state. After some consideration, the chairman agreed to Heijo's request. However, Heijo's approach made Kang San furious because the chairman was his enemy. He would rather starve to death than bow down and beg for mercy from the chairman. He didn't want the woman he loved to suffer like that. Heijo reasoned that enduring this for now would allow them to achieve their dream. If they lost the shipyard, their dream would just be a dream. Late that night, Heijo couldn't sleep. Realizing that she might have hurt Kang San, she took out her phone and sent him a comforting text. Unexpectedly, Kang San put her on hold. Seeing that he didn't respond, she bravely shared her feelings in a message. I appreciate that you've always been there for me, caring for me and healing my wounds. Because of that, I don't know when I started to like you. After sending the message, Heijo was surprised. She couldn't believe she had said those words and quickly deleted the voice message she had sent. The next day, Kang San's grandfather had a secret meeting with someone. He took out a suitcase full of money and gave it to the man, asking him to reveal a secret he had kept hidden for over 20 years. It turned out that the man used to be one of the chairman's men. That year, to get the confidential documents in Kang San's parents' hands, the chairman chased them, causing them to get into a car accident. When he found out that the documents he was looking for weren't in the car, He had someone set the whole car on fire with the people inside. Kang San's grandfather finally learned why his son and daughter-in-law had died so tragically, but he didn't know what documents the chairman had been looking for, and why he had been so ruthless in killing people. That night, Kang San's grandfather went to see the chairman to get justice for his children. The chairman was surprised to learn that Kang San's grandfather knew the truth, but it had been 20 years. He wasn't afraid of the law investigating the case now. Kang San's grandfather declared, "I'll definitely find evidence to tell the media this truth. If the law can't do anything, I will ensure you're ruined." This move made the chairman consider his options. He told his secretary in his office, "You have to make that old man shut his mouth forever. You also have to investigate who told him the truth." At the same time, Heijo took the initiative to meet with Kang San. She acted cute like a child to coax him. Seeing his sweetheart acting so cute, how could Kang San be angry? He soon started laughing, but he also hoped that Heiju would continue to help him achieve his dream. While the two were happily flirting, his grandfather was about to face danger on the other side. He found that the shipyard had been sabotaged and took a flashlight to look for the culprit. Unexpectedly, he was electrocuted and fell to the ground. Then, a man in black appeared. He made a phone call and said to the other person, "Everything is taken care of." Not long after, when Kang San and Heiju returned, they found that his grandfather wasn't in the office. When they finally found him, he was lying motionless on the ground. Kang San quickly took his grandfather to the hospital, but it was too late. The doctor said that his grandfather's internal organs were severely damaged, and he likely wouldn't live through the night. Kang San was devastated when he heard this. The chairman learned that Kang San's grandfather was still alive and scolded his secretary. "You can't even do a simple job. It's come to this. You absolutely can't let him live." Kang San's grandfather tried to use his last breath to give his grandson some final words. He wanted to say that the chairman had caused all this, but he was afraid that once he was gone, his grandson would be harmed by the chairman. He didn't reveal the truth. He just hoped that his grandson would live a happy life and not fight against the chairman. He also instructed Heiju, "Take care of Kang San." At that moment, the chairman walked in, pretending to come and ask about his condition. Seeing this beastly man, Kang San's grandfather was agitated and passed away. Kang San was heartbroken by his grandfather's sudden death, but the truth was in front of him, and he had to face it. At his grandfather's funeral, one of his old partners came to pay his respects and promised Kang San, "If you can research and develop a new drilling machine for oil rigs, then all the orders in the world will be yours." However, Chang He, who was attending the funeral, overheard this news. He quickly went back and told the chairman. The chairman was furious when he heard this. He knew that if Kang San succeeded, his oil development project might fail. Chang He suggested, "We have to nip this in the bud and leave Kang San with no escape." Early the next morning, several cars arrived at Kang San's shipyard. Chang He brought the transfer certificate to take over the whole shipyard. Heijo, still naive, took out her agreement with the chairman to stop him. Chang He told her, "Go reason with the chairman, because it's me who's taking over the shipyard. It has nothing to do with the chairman." At that moment, Kang San arrived. Seeing the transfer certificate that Chang He was holding, he didn't say a word. He directly assaulted Chang He. This shipyard was his grandfather's life's work, and Kang San didn't want to lose it. Unexpectedly, when he went to the bank, he discovered that not only had all the money in his account been invested in research, but his grandfather had also taken out a huge loan before his death. Now, the shipyard was gone, and Kang San was penniless, reduced to a pauper. Late at night, Heijo found Kang San drunk at a night market pub. She was heartbroken to see him forcing a smile, remembering that he had always been there to protect her when she was feeling down. Heijo decided that this time, she would be the one to protect him. She told Kang San, "I'm not going to work at the chairman's company anymore. I'm going to stay with you and study the drilling machine." Kang San told Heiju, "Keep working normally. Don't feel bad because of me." Heijo took Kang San home to Youngwoo and asked him to take care of him. The next day, Kang San slept until noon and then went to Jungwoo's office. He didn't want to stay in this painful place anymore. He didn't want to be a burden to Heiju. So before he left, he wanted to ask Jungwoo to take care of Heijo. He also revealed that Heiju's mother was only her adoptive mother. Jungwoo was surprised to learn this. A while later, he ran into Heiju's mother and asked her about it. After a moment of hesitation, Heiju's adoptive mother finally revealed the truth. "I'm not Heijo's real mother. You are her uncle. Heijo is his niece, who has been missing for 20 years. Jungwoo couldn't believe what he had just heard. He quickly called Heiju to meet. He suddenly realized that's why Heiju had been so concerned for him lately. She had cried a lot when reading the letter her brother had left for his daughter. Jungwoo felt guilty. All these years, his niece had been right there, but he hadn't known. He had caused her to suffer. After confirming the burn scar on Hyeju's back and the yellow clothes that Hyeju's adoptive mother had given him, he was sure that Hyeju was his niece. When he returned home, Hyeju shared her suspicions with him. She had previously learned that the chairman's wife had gotten a DNA test, but the results showed that they weren't related. However, Jungwoo was still sure that Hyeju was his niece. There must have been a mistake with the test. He said, "I'm going to investigate this again." Now he was very happy. Hyeju's appearance had brought the warmth of family love back to his cold heart. The next day, he went to see the chairman's wife. He said, "I would like to take some of your hair to get my DNA test done between you and Hyeju." This move made the chairman's wife suspicious. Could it be that her test results were wrong? Hyeju was very worried about Kang-san. After searching for information, she finally found the restaurant he was working at. She encouraged him to get up and pursue his dreams. But Kang-san thought he was now like a beggar. What right did he have to pursue his dream? To persuade him, Hyeju could only say, "I am likely the daughter of a scientist. We are both descendants of shipbuilders. So building ships is not only our dream, but it's also fulfilling the unfulfilled dreams of our fathers. If you don't believe me, you can go ask Uncle Jungwoo for the truth." When Kang-san went to see Jungwoo, he confirmed what Hyeju said was true. He also told Kang-san what he had investigated. He said that his parents' and grandfather's deaths were likely caused by the chairman. Heartbroken, Kang-san went to his grandfather's memorial tablet and vowed to make the chairman pay. Not long after, Chang-hee had won in Hwa's heart. The two quickly got married. The happiest person was none other than the housekeeper, but the most heartbroken person was Hyeju. She was sad to see the man she had loved for over a decade marry someone else. But this good girl didn't blame Chang-hee. She wiped away her tears and forced a smile, wishing him happiness. However, in Chang-hee's heart, he only loved Hyeju. For him, Hwa was just a tool for him to get revenge on the chairman. Hyeju, working at the chairman's shipyard, finally finished the azimuth thruster. Because of her excellent skills, this was also her biggest dream in life. Now that her dream had come true, it meant that she had fulfilled her promise to the chairman. She then immediately submitted her resignation and went to find Kang-san. She told him that she wanted to fulfill a bigger dream with him. Kang-san immediately refused Hyeju's offer. He told her to quickly return to work so she could earn money to take care of her family. On Jungwoo's side, the results of the chairman's wife and Hyeju's DNA test had finally come back. This time, the results showed they were mother and daughter. Jungwoo wasn't surprised by the results. What he didn't expect was that someone had been manipulating things to prevent the mother and daughter from being reunited. As a prosecutor, he quickly found the technician who had done the DNA test for the chairman's wife. After being threatened by Jungwoo, the technician, scared, admitted that Hwa had ordered him to do it. A while later, he went to see his sister-in-law with the new test results. He also told her that Hwa had been behind the scheme to change the test results. Looking at the report in her hand, the chairman's wife felt very guilty. All this time, her daughter had been right in front of her, and she didn't realize it. Then, she called to ask Hyeju's location, and quickly went to see her daughter. At that moment, the mother and daughter, who had been separated for over 20 years, finally reunited. The chairman's wife's heart ached as if pierced by 1,000 arrows. Hyeju's mom made her unable to control her emotions. She now wanted to make up for all the hurt her daughter had endured over the years. She was about to take her daughter home when Jungwoo rushed over to stop her. He said to his sister-in-law, "If the chairman finds out about Hyeju's identity, she might be in danger." He knew, through his investigation, that the chairman had murdered her ex-husband. Years ago, the housekeeper, at the chairman's order, kidnapped Hyeju to get to her. 13 years ago, when she went to find Hyeju, Hyeju was kidnapped again by the housekeeper. He even almost sold her to another country. The chairman's wife was shocked when she learned the truth. Hyeju also heard the entire story. She now knew that the chairman was the one who had murdered her real father. In the end, to ensure her daughter's safety, the chairman's wife could only restrain her pain and temporarily keep it a secret. Hyeju was worried that her mother wouldn't be able to handle this shock. She didn't know how her mother would face that cruel man. But the chairman's wife knew that if she wanted to live happily with her daughter in the future, she had to endure it now. She had to return to live with her husband and find an opportunity to get revenge. After the chairman's wife left, Jungwoo had nothing left to hide from his niece. He also told Hyeju that the cause of Kang-san's parents and grandfather's deaths could also be attributed to the chairman. Now, Hyeju's hatred for the chairman had reached its peak. The chairman's wife returned home and maintained her usual demeanor with everyone in the house. She even went to slap her son, who had changed the test results. But as soon as she went into her room, she burst into tears. She couldn't believe that she had been living in the same house and taking care of these cruel people all these years. The hatred suppressed in her heart made her only able to vent her anger on her pillow. She wished she could make the father and son disappear from this world. A while later, Heiju went to find Kang San, hoping to get revenge on the chairman together. The two made a plan to take back the oil rig development from the chairman. Easier said than done. For two people as poor as they were now, it was like going to heaven. If they wanted to research and create an advanced oil rig, they needed a factory. While Kang San was racking his brain, the smart Heiju came up with a great suggestion. They had to first create a plan. With a plan, combined with the reputation of a famous designer like Kang San, and Heiju's experience of successfully creating the azimuth thruster, they were sure to find an investor. Kang San finally understood. The two worked together to realize their plan. They thought that if they kept quiet, the chairman wouldn't find out about Heiju's identity. However, today, Inhua committed a serious crime. To calm his father's anger, he revealed the truth. Heiju was the chairman's wife's real daughter. When Heiju's identity was revealed, the first person to suffer was the housekeeper. When the chairman threatened him, he could only admit, "I didn't kill Heiju that year, but I gave her to my friend to raise." The chairman then spared his life, because he remembered that the housekeeper was now his in-law. He warned the housekeeper, "You absolutely cannot let your wife know about Heiju's identity, or I won't show any mercy towards my brother-in-law's family. I will kill all of you." The chairman was worried that if Heiju stayed in the country, she would be like a time bomb, threatening his family's happiness. So he actively arranged a meeting and gave Heiju a large sum of money to go study abroad. Heiju thought that the chairman was worried that she and Kang San would research and create an advanced oil rig, so he wanted to get rid of her this way. Looking at the enemy who had killed her father, she didn't say a word. She immediately got up and left. Now, although the chairman's wife couldn't get revenge on the chairman immediately, she could use the chairman to teach her son a lesson for daring to change the test results. She picked up a piece of broken porcelain from the table and held it tightly in her hand until blood flowed out. Seeing his mother's crazy behavior, Inhua ran away in fear. After her husband came back, the chairman's wife blamed her son for hurting her. The chairman's wife's intention to protect her son made the chairman even angrier. He went to find his son and beat him up, although his son repeatedly explained, "I didn't do anything." The chairman didn't believe him at all. He wouldn't allow anyone to hurt his wife. At that moment, the chairman's wife pretended to go over and stop the conflict between father and son. Inhua, helpless, left. After Inhua left, the chairman's wife pretended to be wronged and sat on the floor, crying. The chairman was heartbroken and kept apologizing to his wife. At this moment, the chairman's wife silently vowed, "This is just the beginning of my revenge on the father and son." But then, the chairman was still worried that Heiju's identity would be revealed. To ensure this would forever be a secret, he decided to send Heiju abroad no matter what. So, he immediately called his secretary and told him to take care of this matter. If he wanted to lure Heiju, he had to first separate her from Kang San. The secretary sent someone to call Kang San and said, "I want to tell you about the cause of his grandfather's death." The goon took advantage of Kang San's lack of attention and hit him unconscious with a stick, then locked him up there. On this side, the secretary came to meet Kang San, making an excuse to trick Heiju into getting in the car with him. Heiju didn't know she was in danger. However, through a subordinate's report, Chang He at the company accidentally learned that the housekeeper was going to find Heiju. Remembering the chairman's plan from before, he quickly realized Heiju was in danger. He secretly called Heiju and said, "You're in danger. When the car stops, you have to find a chance to escape." The smart Heiju immediately understood. On this side, Kang San woke up, escaped from the warehouse, and saw Chang He's text message. He told him to come to the airport right away. Heiju was in danger. Kang San didn't dare delay for a second. He immediately got in his car and went to the airport. After Heiju went to the airport with the secretary and his men, she made an excuse to go to the restroom to find an opportunity to escape. To be on the safe side, the secretary sent his goons to follow her. Heiju was at her wit's end and could only run as fast as she could. Luckily, when she ran to the parking lot, she still hadn't been caught. Taking advantage of this opportunity, she quickly called Kang San for help. Unexpectedly, the secretary discovered her at that moment, but in the end, Heiju was only a weak girl. How could she escape from these men's pursuit? The evil secretary had no mercy for Heiju. The goon was brutal to her. After beating Heiju up, the men were about to drag her to the car and prepare to take her abroad when Kang San arrived just in time. Perhaps due to the power of love, Kang San took down the secretary and his men. Seeing this, Heijo also used her biting skills to escape from the clutches of the two goons. Kang San took this opportunity to grab Heijo's hand and run. Luckily, just at the critical moment, the police arrived, causing the secretary's men to give up. Heijo and Kang San were saved. They embraced each other. The chairman was furious when he learned that his secretary had screwed things up. From a simple matter, he had made it so complicated. Things had come to this point. He could only let his secretary escape. The two of them returned home and told Jung Woo about Heiju's kidnapping by the chairman's secretary. Kang San was certain that the chairman had learned Heiju's true identity and wanted to get rid of her. That's why he had been so quick to take action. Jung Woo wouldn't allow his niece to be in danger. He went to the chairman's office to capture the secretary, but they didn't have any evidence to prove that the chairman was the mastermind behind it. Plus, the secretary had already run away. Jung Woo had no choice but to return and tell his sister-in-law. The chairman's wife trembled when she heard that the chairman had almost killed her daughter. Now they were sure that the chairman had learned Heiju's real identity. If that were the case, Heiju was worried that her mother would be in danger if she stayed with the chairman. She hoped her mother could leave that house, but the chairman's wife feared that if she did, she would anger her husband. She could only comfort her daughter. "Don't worry, I'm safe now." After today's events, the relationship between Kang San and Heijo became even stronger. Heijo had accepted the man before her, who had risked his life for her. This was the first time Kang San had confessed his love to Heiju. He had lost his grandfather and parents. Now she was his only family in this life. "The reason I'm trying to live now is just because of you." Heijo went back to her room, embarrassed. She smiled happily, remembering the moment. The chairman's wife was back at home, thinking about how to leave that house when her brother, In-house brother, appeared, giving her an idea. After being tricked before, he hated his stepmother even more and wanted to break up the relationship between his father and stepmother. He told his father the truth about Heiju. The chairman's wife used him as a shield. She went to see her husband and slapped him, criticizing him. "Why did you hide the fact that Heiju is my daughter? Your son told me everything. I'll remember everything you have done for me. I will never forgive you." Then, she immediately went to her room to pack her bags. The chairman, terrified, quickly begged his wife, "Don't get agitated." The chairman's wife ignored him. She grabbed her suitcase and left to find Heijo. After 27 years of separation, they finally got to sleep together. Her adoptive mother stood outside, silently shedding tears. After his wife left, the chairman blamed the housekeeper for everything. "If I hadn't shown mercy because you were my brother-in-law, and Chang He was now an indispensable, powerful assistant of mine, both of you would be dead." But the housekeeper still had to endure a beating and insults. Unexpectedly, Chang He came to see his father-in-law and accidentally heard the conversation and screams of pain from inside the room. This made him hate the chairman even more. After his father returned, he asked him, "What does the chairman's wife's daughter have to do with them?" Seeing that everything had been revealed, the housekeeper collapsed to the ground and sobbed. Then, he told his son the truth. Heiju is the chairman's wife's lost daughter. Chang He was shocked to learn this. Then, the father and son began to plot revenge against the chairman. The housekeeper knew that he and his son couldn't compete with the chairman, so he decided to tell Heiju and the chairman's wife the truth. They had to work together to strike back, or they wouldn't have any chance to win. The next day, the housekeeper went to see Heiju and confessed, "I was driving the car that caused the accident that killed your adoptive father, but I did it because the chairman threatened to kill my whole family." If the truth came out, hearing this, Heiju lost her composure. She was furious, shouted, and chased the housekeeper out. Heijo, heartbroken, went to her father's grave. Her adoptive father's face was still vivid in her mind. Her adoptive father, who loved her wholeheartedly, was everything to her. Then, the housekeeper went to see the chairman's wife and told her the truth. "The chairman wanted to be with you, so he threatened me to kill your daughter. But I couldn't bear to do it, so I gave the baby to my friend. That year, your husband was shot to death by the chairman." The chairman's wife burst into tears after hearing this. It turned out that the chairman had been ruthless enough to kill her husband and daughter to get her. But the housekeeper told her again. That year, the chairman wanted to get a secret tape that DR had. This tape could be the main cause of the doctor's tragic death. After hearing this, the chairman's wife returned and told Jung Woo the whole truth that the housekeeper had told her. The two agreed that the secret tape had the potential to be the trigger for everything. The chairman's wife was determined to find the tape, no matter what, to find out why the chairman had wanted to kill her husband. How can you catch a tiger without going into the tiger's den? Her daughter had to endure her pain and return to the chairman. Then, she told the chairman, "Heijo is my daughter, so you have to give her a share of the company. This is compensation for her for all these years. The chairman had to accept his wife's request. After saying all of this, the chairman's wife immediately got up and returned to her room. After many efforts, Young-woo finally found the man that Kang San's grandfather had met before he died. This is the only person who witnessed the chairman murder, Hae-jo's parents and Kang San's parents. Jung-woo used his authority as a prosecutor to request that the man attend the press conference to publicly reveal the crimes the chairman committed. Because the crime was committed 27 years ago, the statute of limitations had expired. Jung-woo's team could only use this method to ruin the chairman's reputation. Not long after, the chairman learned about Young-woo's plan. He hurriedly asked Chang-hee to help him deal with this. He had to tell him the truth now. The tape he stole from Hae-jo's father that year was the location of an undiscovered oil well. All these years, he had been researching oil drilling equipment because he wanted to drill that oil well and become a top company in the world. However, the chairman was also involved in the secrets of the government intelligence agency. He was afraid that his deeds would become a national political issue if they were published. If that happened, even if it had been 27 years, the government intelligence agency would still punish him. So, he told Chang-hee, "You have to find my old subordinate and stop the press conference from happening." To ensure safety, Young-woo went to find the housekeeper and advised him to reveal all the grievances that he had endured as a slave beside the chairman for so many years at the press conference tomorrow. The housekeeper immediately agreed. Hae-jo, as the victim, had to attend the press conference tomorrow. At that moment, everyone would know that she was the chairman's wife's daughter. She was worried that her family wouldn't be able to handle the shock, so she talked to them about this before. For all these years, her adoptive mother and brother had known that she had suffered a lot because of that house, so her brother spoke harshly. To protect her, he chased her out of that house and told her to enjoy a happy life. Hae-jo understood her adoptive mother and brother. They didn't want her to suffer in that house anymore, but she couldn't abandon them like that, because they were the most important people in her life. The next day, at the press conference, when everything had been prepared, but the two witnesses were still missing, everyone was surprised to find out that they had arrived at the chairman's press conference. It turns out that after the housekeeper told his son about his plan to attend Jung-woo's press conference, he was stopped by his son. Chang-hee felt that the press conference wouldn't have much of an effect on the chairman. If his father went to the press conference, it would mean he was betraying the chairman again. Then, all the effort he had put into building trust with the chairman would go down the drain. Then, he listened to his son's advice and attended the chairman's press conference. The other man was personally threatened and bribed by the chairman. So, the two key witnesses could only come forward and testify that the chairman was innocent and that Jung-woo had forced them to lie. In the end, the chairman accused and criticized Jung-woo and demanded that he be held criminally responsible. As a result, Jung-woo couldn't bring down the chairman and had to stop his investigation. After this incident, the chairman was very satisfied with Chang-hee's counterattack, but they didn't expect that Hae-jo and Kang San still had a backup plan to turn the unfavorable situation around and change the battleground. While they were celebrating their victory, the secretary rushed in and told them to quickly watch the news on TV. After the chairman watched the news, he changed his expression. The TV was showing a scene of the chairman threatening the witness. Jung-woo, who had been made to look like the bad guy, was smiling like a child now. All of this was thanks to Kang San and Hae-jo. It turns out that yesterday, after Kang San and Jung-woo discussed the press conference, when they were parting, Kang San accidentally noticed someone secretly following them. He immediately understood that he may have revealed the witness's location, so he planned for Hae-jo to pretend to be a hotel staff member, break into the witness's room, and secretly install a surveillance camera hidden in the room, while the witness wasn't paying attention. As expected, the chairman went to the witness's room to threaten him. The entire scene was recorded by the camera. With such compelling evidence, the chairman had to go to the procuratorate to give his statement. At that moment, Hae-jo happened to come out and saw the chairman. She directly yelled at him, "What's your goal in doing so many bad things? I will never forgive you. You are the murderer of my two dads. And you also made my mother and me separate for so many years. You'll have to take responsibility for the crimes you committed." Then, the chairman was brought to the interrogation room. He still insisted on denying his crimes. However, Jung-woo was not worried at all. He brought the witness to the crime scene. The witness, at that moment, confessed, "I was threatened by the chairman." The chairman, after hearing this, got excited and realized that things had gotten serious. He could only find a way to escape. So he pretended to have a brain hemorrhage, directly fell to the ground, and fainted. Witnessing the chairman's act, Young-woo smiled sarcastically. Then, the chairman was taken to the hospital for treatment. He told Chang-hee, "During this time, just prevent Hae-jo from researching and developing the advanced oil rig. Don't worry about my political reputation." At this time, he was thinking that things would gradually settle down. In-hwa was very happy to hear that his father had something happen and had to be hospitalized. While his father was away from the company, he originally intended to sell his shares to hedge against risk. Unexpectedly, he received a notice that all of his shares had been transferred to Hae-ju by his stepmother. When In-hwa learned about this, he immediately returned home to confront his stepmother. But now, he couldn't do anything. He could only snap at her and then leave. The chairman's wife simply ignored him. In-hwa wasn't satisfied. He went to see Hae-ju and forced her to return his shares. Hae-jo gave him a fierce response, making him afraid. This made him even more resentful towards Hae-ju. To get revenge, in the evening, he snuck into Hae-ju's office and wanted to steal all her design documents. Because it was too dark, he used a lighter to illuminate the area. Unexpectedly, the lighter fell, causing the room to catch fire. When he saw this, In-hwa quickly ran away. Hae-jo was about to leave when she discovered her office was on fire. Because there were many important documents inside, she didn't think twice and directly rushed into the fire to retrieve her documents. But the thick smoke made Hae-ju short of breath, and she passed out. At this critical moment, luckily Kang-san appeared just in time. He didn't hesitate. He rushed into the inferno and successfully rescued Hae-jo. Luckily, Hae-ju only got a burn on one hand, and she was fine. Kang-san was worried about Hae-ju's health, and so he sent her to have a checkup. The results showed that her blood sugar level was very high. He immediately reported this to the chairman's wife. At this time, the chairman's wife didn't think anything was unusual. She said, "I'm just finding out about this now." But when she went to the chairman's room, she realized the seriousness of the problem, because the doctor who was checking up on the chairman also gave the same result, high blood sugar level. The doctor told the chairman's wife, "This disease can be passed down to future generations. You should better take your children to the hospital for a checkup." After hearing this, the chairman's wife was shocked. She quickly made an excuse to go to the restroom to hide her emotions. At this moment, she suddenly remembered the past. It turns out that when she was young, the chairman was her ex-boyfriend. In a moment of impulsivity, he raped her. This scene was witnessed by Young-woo, who was returning from his military service. This was the reason Young-woo had resented the chairman's wife for all these years. The chairman's wife felt guilty and wanted to break up with the doctor. But he forgave her because he didn't want to lose the woman he loved. The chairman's wife was moved and agreed to marry the doctor. Not long after, she gave birth to a baby girl, who was Hae-ju. At that time, she hated this child, because she believed it was the chairman's child. The doctor, after seeing this, secretly did a paternity test between himself and Hae-ju. The results showed that they were father and daughter. This made the chairman's wife accept her daughter, until today, when she received the results that both Hae-ju and the chairman had high blood sugar levels. She began to suspect that her husband had falsified the DNA test results that year. To find out the truth, she went to Hae-ju's hospital room and took her daughter's comb to do a DNA test with the chairman. The next day, when she received the results, she prayed silently in her heart, then quickly opened the test report to see the results inside. But the scariest thing appeared before her eyes. Hae-ju was exactly the chairman's biological daughter. The chairman's wife immediately threw the report aside and ran to the bathroom, vomiting. This result for her was like having her guts ripped out. She could imagine how much suffering her ex-husband had endured when he falsified the test results. At this moment, Hae-ju returned to her hospital room to find her mother. But she only saw her mother's handbag, not her. She discovered the DNA test report on the bed and was curious, so she picked it up to see. The results inside made her unable to believe her own eyes. She couldn't believe that the enemy who had murdered her two fathers was actually her biological father. Her mother was even more heartbroken to see that her daughter had learned the truth. She knew that Hae-ju was experiencing a huge shock now. Black and white on paper revealed the truth before Hae-ju's eyes. She couldn't believe that fate had played such a cruel joke on her. She sat on the ground, helplessly sobbing. However, the truth is the truth. Hae-ju went to find her mother, hoping she could tell her why this happened. No matter how heartbreaking it was, she had to know the truth. Her mom could only tell her that they had once been a couple, but then he betrayed her and they broke up. A while later, her mom fell in love with the doctor. One time when the doctor was away on a business trip, the chairman got drunk and went home to rape her mother. It was likely that she became pregnant during that time. At first, she also suspected that her daughter was the chairman's child, but unexpectedly, the doctor had falsified the DNA test results of himself and her. Seeing the doctor's love for her, she completely believed that she was the doctor's daughter. However, today, when they discovered the test results that both she and the chairman had high blood sugar levels, her mother did a DNA test. Heijo knew that her mother was just a victim, and she didn't blame her at all. Instead, she comforted her, saying, "This paternity test has no meaning." She said that she would never admit to being the chairman's daughter. She only had two fathers, the doctor and her adoptive father. She told her mom to forget everything that happened that day. Such great pain, how could she pretend like nothing happened? Heijo poured all her emotion into her work. She wanted to research and develop an advanced oil rig as soon as possible to get revenge on the chairman. Kang-san didn't know the truth. Seeing Heijo working frantically, he quickly went to stop her and advised her to go home to rest, to avoid getting her hand hurt. Heijo didn't want to tell Kang-san the truth. "I'm the chairman's daughter." So she yelled at Kang-san, demanding that he not concern himself with her affairs. Late at night, Heijo went out to drink to drown her sorrows. After a while of searching, Young-woo finally found her. Seeing Heijo's sorrowful expression and her tear-streaked face, Young-woo immediately guessed that she must have been through some kind of shock. Under Young-woo's interrogation, Heijo finally apologized. She told her uncle, "Don't treat me so well from now on. The better you treat me, the more heartbroken I feel." This statement made Young-woo suspicious. "I'm not your real uncle? Today, your mom did a DNA test between you and the chairman. The results showed that you and he are father and daughter. The person you hate most in this world is your biological father." Another person felt heartbroken after learning that Heijo and the chairman were father and daughter. Young-woo quickly went to find his sister-in-law and criticized her for hiding Heijo's truth. The chairman's wife explained, "I only recently discovered the truth. Your brother hid the truth back then. That's what caused the situation today." This statement made Young-woo even more heartbroken. He thought that after his brother died, Heijo was his only family in this life. But now he knew she wasn't his brother's daughter. However, during a conversation with Heijo's adoptive mother, he broke down his barriers. The adoptive mother said to Young-woo, "In this life, I finally realized that blood ties aren't that important. Although I have 3 biological children, for me, Heijo is the one I love the most. You don't need to be related by blood to be family. It's about experiencing difficulties together, but still not abandoning each other. That's a true family." These words made Young-woo realize his mistake, and he cried like a child. Then he made an appointment with Heijo to apologize to her. Now, he doesn't care about blood ties anymore. "My brother always loved Heijo, and her adoptive father does too. Why can't I be like them?" Because he accidentally caused Heijo's office to catch fire. Her brother, In-hwa, was captured by Young-woo. Young-woo believed he did it at the chairman's order and deliberately tried to kill Heijo. In-hwa honestly explained, "I just accidentally caused the fire. This has nothing to do with my father." The chairman's wife also thought like Young-woo and believed that the chairman had ordered In-hwa to do it. Thinking about how her daughter had almost died in the fire, she angrily scolded her husband. But this time, the chairman was truly innocent. He didn't order his son to do it. But no matter how much he explained, she refused to believe him. She was afraid that Heijo would lose her life to the chairman again, but she still couldn't tell the chairman Heijo's real identity. She realized that if she wanted to protect her daughter, she had to use her tactics. On this side, Chang-hee and his father were also plotting revenge against the chairman. Chang-hee told his father, "The time is near, because the chairman's reserve fund only has 1 month left. So we have to figure out how to destroy all of the chairman's assets, then find evidence of his crimes, and send him to jail. I will take advantage of this opportunity and become the owner of the company. The enemy of my enemy is my friend." The chairman's wife knew that the housekeeper wanted to use her to deal with the chairman. So, she went to see the housekeeper and told him, "If we all have the same goal, let's work together and get revenge on him." Then, the chairman's wife went to see Chang-hee to agree to work together and get revenge. But she had one more thing to ask him. After defeating the chairman, she hoped he wouldn't abandon In-hwa, because she viewed In-hwa as her daughter, and she didn't want her to suffer in the end for something she didn't do. After all, her son is now in jail. If the chairman is retaliated against, and then Chang-hee leaves her, she's afraid her daughter will do something rash. Faced with the chairman's wife's words, Chang-hee could only stay silent. Finally, the time had come for the chairman to fulfill his life's dream, which was to win the right to develop the oil well. As long as the oil rig that their company had researched won the bid in this round, they would have a firm grasp on the rights to develop it. The chairman had no idea that he was falling into Chang-hee's trap. To make the chairman bankrupt as soon as possible, Chang-hee persuaded the chairman to use his secret fund to expand the shipyard, to be ready for the upcoming oil rig development. Not long after, the oil rig development bidding conference officially began. At the conference, the chairman's team and Heijo's team took the lead. Both sides presented their latest oil rig drilling technology. In the end, Heijo's team won. Thus, the chairman's lifelong dream was stolen by Heiju. When Heijo's team cheered with excitement, the chairman returned to his office. Furious, Chang He told the chairman, "It wasn't our lagging technology that led to our defeat this time. It was because your son was out causing trouble all day, causing the company's reputation to be destroyed." In addition to the company's unstable capital, Chang He's purpose in driving the chairman into a corner was to force him to bring out the secret tape of the oil well's location, which he had hidden for so many years. He told the chairman that tape could turn the situation around. Thinking of this, the chairman regained his fighting spirit and pretended like he had a firm grasp on the victory. At the same time, his wife at home had called a locksmith to break open the safe to find the secret tape. After getting the tape, she was preparing to leave the house with the locksmith when she bumped into the chairman returning home. At first, the chairman didn't think much of it. The chairman's wife pretended to be calm and made an excuse to explain, then quickly left. When the chairman returned to his office, he discovered that his wife had taken the tape. He didn't dare delay and immediately drove after her to see what she wanted to do. The chairman's wife got out of the car and quickly ran into a coffee shop. She took out the tape and gave it to Heiju. After seeing his wife give the tape to Heiju, the chairman realized that his wife had learned everything. But he didn't go to them but quietly went home and waited for his wife to come back. After his wife came back, he admitted to his crimes and said, "I did all of this because of you. Because for me, you were the most important person in his life, even more than my children." If this had happened before, this confession would probably have moved his wife. But now, it only made her feel ridiculous and disgusted. The man who had betrayed her to marry another woman, then murdered her husband and daughter, now dared to say he did everything for her. In the chairman's wife's eyes, he was like a devil. Now that everything had been revealed, she went back to her room and packed her bags, preparing to leave her cruel husband. The chairman didn't realize his mistakes. He went to stop his wife. The chairman's wife didn't waver at all. She frankly declared, "I'll watch you pay the price." Then she grabbed her suitcase and left. She went to find Inhua and told her the whole truth. She also promised, "Although we are not mother and daughter by blood, if you ever need anything, I will definitely help you." Because all these years, when she had to endure the pain of losing her daughter, Inhua was her emotional support. Inhua was very disappointed in her father. After learning about the hideous crimes he had committed, she said to her father, "I never want to see your face again." In the end, the chairman began to suffer retribution when he was betrayed and abandoned by his family. On this side, Kang-san and Heiju were facing a difficult choice. Since Heiju learned she was the chairman's biological daughter, she deliberately avoided Kang-san. She didn't want to hurt him. So during the romantic evening that Kang-san had carefully prepared, she could only restrain her pain and refuse his proposal. Kang-san didn't understand why Heiju was like this. He was heartbroken when she refused him. Jung-woo didn't want to see Kang-san and Heiju suffer so much because of their true love. So he told Kang-san the truth. Heiju is the chairman's daughter. Let him decide about this relationship. This truth made Kang-san feel pained. He didn't understand why fate had to play such a cruel joke on him. One side was the revenge for his parents' deaths. The other was the girl he loved most. He didn't know how to choose. But you don't need a reason to love someone. Kang-san made an appointment with Heiju to give her his answer. He told Heiju, "I can't live without you. So what if you have the chairman's blood in you? You only have two fathers, your adoptive father and the doctor. The chairman is our common enemy. How could you not feel heartbroken to refuse my proposal? You feel guilty when you see me, even though you haven't done anything wrong. I love you. No need to say anymore. I know everything. But remember, you can never leave me, okay?" Finally, Heiju untied the knot in her heart. But what they didn't expect was that the tape the chairman's wife had stolen was a fake. The real tape was hidden by the chairman in another location. He wanted to use the tape as a stepping stone to take back the oil rig development that Heiju had taken from him. Chang He wanted to spend all of the chairman's capital. He suggested that he buy all the development rights so that all the profits would go into his pocket. The chairman hesitated a bit because if he wanted to buy back the development rights, he might have to use all of his assets and secret funds. Chang He knew he had him, so he deliberately fanned the flames to achieve his goal. Then, the chairman let Chang He negotiate with the partner. Under the seduction of money, the partner's negotiator immediately agreed. Not long after, Chang He had collected the documents, recorded evidence of the chairman's illegal use of the secret funds, and instructed his men to send it to prosecutor Jung Woo. Jung Woo was both surprised and happy when he saw the evidence of the chairman's crime. With this evidence, he was sure to win the case. So, he ordered his subordinates to immediately start investigating the account books. Although the evidence was sent via anonymous express mail, Jung Woo could guess that Chang Hee was behind it. However, the chairman, who had gotten to where he is today, wasn't easily bullied like that. He learned that the procuratorate was starting to investigate his secret funds, and immediately realized that someone was plotting against him. Through the reports of his secretary and others, he quickly guessed that Chang Hee was the one with the scheme. Then, he summoned his goons, immediately captured the housekeeper, and then called Chang Hee to meet. When they met, he went straight to the point and asked Chang Hee, "Why are you betraying me?" At this time, Chang Hee thought that after he gave Jung Woo the evidence, the chairman would be penniless and no longer a threat to him. He said directly to the chairman, "This is your retribution for tormenting me and my dad for so many years." Seeing Chang Hee full of arrogance, the chairman waved his hand for his goons to drag the housekeeper over. Seeing his father getting captured, Chang Hee quickly ran to save his father. But how could he alone take them on? He was soon taken down. The chairman showed no mercy towards the traitor. He raised the stick in his hand and was about to kill Chang Hee. At this critical moment, In-hwa appeared just in time to protect Chang Hee. The chairman didn't waver at all. He was still determined to kill Chang Hee, but when In-hwa arrived, he called the police. At this time the police had arrived. The chairman had to leave Chang Hee behind and quickly left the scene. The housekeeper was seriously injured and unconscious, with his life hanging in the balance. Then, the chairman ordered his goons to take him to the hotel to find his wife. Unexpectedly, when he got there, he bumped into Hae-ju, who was in the room alone. Already angry, he saw Hae-ju, and his anger flared up. He pointed at Hae-ju's face and scolded her. "All of this is your fault. You didn't die that year, and it brought me to this state." He said this and then went to Hae-ju, wanting to kill her. He thought that as long as Hae-ju died, everything would return to how it was before. At this critical moment, the chairman's wife appeared just in time to stop him. The chairman's wife was worried that her husband would kill Hae-ju. She told him the truth. "Hae-ju is your biological daughter. Do you know what you did? You almost killed your daughter, not once, but twice. How could you do that? If you don't believe me, go to the hospital to see the doctor to confirm. You'll know the crimes you committed." The chairman couldn't believe what he had just heard. He trembled as he left the hotel. Hae-ju didn't understand why her mom told the chairman the truth. Because she didn't want to admit he was her father. Her mom said, "The chairman won't hurt you if he knows the truth." To verify what his wife had said, the chairman went to the hospital to check the DNA test results between himself and Hae-ju. The results showed that Hae-ju was his biological daughter. The chairman returned home with mixed emotions. He realized that Hae-ju truly resembled him. Not only did they share a dream, but they also had the same fighting spirit. They relied on their efforts to become top talents in the shipbuilding industry. On Chang Hee's side, he officially began plotting revenge against the chairman. In the press conference, he announced to the media that the chairman had illegally used secret funds, and that he had tried to kill his father. The housekeeper, who was seriously injured by the chairman, couldn't attend the press conference. So he recorded a video revealing the truth from 27 years ago. The chairman murdered Dar, Hae-ju's father's name. The housekeeper also used this opportunity to sincerely apologize to Hae-ju. He didn't know how to apologize to her. He could only say sorry, hoping that she would forgive him. To be fair, the housekeeper could be considered Hae-ju's savior, because that year, he didn't listen to the chairman and ruthlessly killed Hae-ju. Through Chang Hee's accusation of the chairman, Hae-ju finally learned that he had been secretly by the chairman's side all along, to find a chance to get revenge. Therefore, the barriers between the two of them were broken. Although they still had feelings for each other, they now knew this feeling could only be kept in their hearts. They would silently bless each other. In the end, Chang Hee gave all the company's shares to Hae-ju, and also returned Kang San's grandfather's shipyard to him, so they could continue to pursue their dreams. Chang Hee said, "I'll leave this place and find a bright future." Hae-ju returned home, gave Kang San an item, and relayed a message from Chang Hee to him. Kang San quickly went to find Chang Hee. Unexpectedly, when they met, he physically attacked Chang Hee, then scolded him. "You shouldn't have stayed beside the chairman and endured like this." Chang Hee also physically attacked Kang San, but they both had happy smiles on their faces. Perhaps, this was how men expressed their friendship. The chairman knew that he couldn't escape the law's punishment. He was ready to pay the price for his crimes. But the person he worried about most was his wife, whom he loved deeply. He told his wife, "In the days without me at home, make sure to eat on time. If you don't, it will affect your health." Live happily and optimistically each day. Although I was a bit overboard in using every method to get you, I truly love you. The next day, Heijo received a package from the chairman. Inside was the tape of the oil well's location and a letter. In the letter, the chairman told Heijo, "In my youth, I had to live through war and poverty, so I had to use any means to survive. Heijo, you may not want to acknowledge this, father, but I will always remember you, because you are my proud daughter." Heijo read the letter and realized the chairman wanted to commit suicide. At this critical moment, she appeared just in time to stop him. She hoped that the chairman could bravely continue to live. "Heijo, you are my good daughter." "Dad?" "No." The chairman couldn't face Heijo, so he used suicide to atone for his sins. In the end, Heijo acknowledged her father. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Inhua's brother was released from prison and returned home. The chairman's wife had a change of heart and treated him as her son. Inhua finally found Changhe. After a year, he disappeared. Before, Changhe had only been taking advantage of Inhua's feelings, but now he had accepted her true feelings. Her adoptive mother's family remained Heiju's family. They prepared to move with Heijo and enjoy a happy life. Kang-san proposed to Heijo. After so much suffering, they finally came together and worked hard to achieve a bigger dream. This film has reached its end. Thank you all for watching. Leave a comment below if you have any ideas about what film I should make next. Goodbye, and I'll see you again.